Good morning, folks. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How are you? How's everybody doing today? Should I quit my shitty job and become a blues musician? Sure. Prepare to suffer. Prepare to make sacrifices. But yeah, sure. If that's what you got in your heart, go be it, man. Don't dream it. Be it. God damn. You know what? Let's just fix this now. Or I don't even know if this is fixable, honestly. What's your favorite Nirvana song? I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to pick a favorite fucking Nirvana song. Sliver is the one that I usually land on, but Mom and Dad went to the show. Dropped me off with Grandpa Joe. I kick and scream, so please don't go. Grandma, take me home. You ever heard Tool, man? You think at least a big minority of food in the future will have CBD? I don't know. Maybe we'll look out and get some like a CBD revolution or some shit. I'd be down. I want to go eat one of those Colorado CBD Whoppers, dude. That sounds good to me. You beat Sekiro yet? No, dude. No, not even close. Woke up in my mother's arms. I got money. Have some. Thanks, Tucker. What a pal. What a friend. A true friend, Tucker. A true friend indeed. You'll go into the Big Chief next year. Dude, I don't know. I don't even know if next year we're going to be in the South still by this time, but I really liked it there. It was a lot of fun there. I couldn't choose me too good. What's for lunch? I don't know, dude. I don't eat. I'm not going to eat until later today, so. What should I do with my life? Oh. Timed out by the oratorical, dude. For asking what you should do. Yeah, that probably deserved a timeout, honestly. What inspires these frequent moves that you guys do? I don't know. Probably the desire to not be pinned down in one place. Probably the desire to try and find a place that's better than where we're at. Probably just expressing the ability for us to do this job from pretty much anywhere. I'd say all those things probably factor in. Glad you like my table. It's actually TJ's table, but I'm using it right now. Possession is 9/10 of the law, right? Tired of the South? I was tired of the South the day I moved to the South. My nuts orally pleasured? Yeah. It's like sucked on? Yeah. I've had my balls sucked. Your table is a ninny and reeks of elderberry. Oh. Thoughts on Game of Thrones? This last season has been like, dude, they've got their foot on the accelerator pedal and they are just blazing through. They're just like blazing through things that took like 6 seasons to set up. They're like, and this thing happened, and this person met this person, and this happened, and this happened, this secret came out, boom. On the next episode, more of this. It's good because I know all these characters and shit, but it just doesn't have the same feel of any of the other seasons of the show. Maybe the last season, because the last season I felt the same. Season 7 or whatever I felt like was the same thing. Game of meth. How do you get AIDS out of your butt? You get banned. There you go. I cured your butt AIDS. Let that be a lesson to the rest of you. I thought the last episode was a good breather. It had its moments. It was better than the first episode, but it still had a very accelerated feeling to it. And then, like, they were building up the whole episode to Jon telling Daenerys that he's Aegon Targaryen IRL. And I thought that was like fertile ground for a really long, tense interaction between the two of them. But instead, we got about like 1 minute of that. It's like, oh well. Oh yeah, dude. Brienne getting knighted was totally. That was that. I was talking to Ashley about that on the way over here. I was like, dude, that needed to happen. That was so cute. She had that big old cheesy grin on at the end. That was nice. I feel like you missed the Game of Thrones bandwagon. There's no friggin' way I could ever hope to catch up now or get invested into it. I mean, I don't know why. You could watch all the seasons of it and be into it. I mean, I didn't watch The Sopranos for well over a decade after its release. And I ended up enjoying the fuck out of that, so. Whoa. What happened here? What did you like best about the meetup? The food or the fans? It's always about the fans at the meetup. I mean, the food was great, but getting to meet the folks that actually watch you, getting to shake some hands and see the different personalities and give some hugs and take some pictures and stuff. You know, Ashley was talking to a guy who hit her up on Discord that night and said that he was there and that he really had fun seeing us and watching us interact with people, but that his social anxiety was just so bad that he didn't talk to anybody. And I feel bad about that. I feel bad that there were probably people on the periphery that didn't get to talk to us or didn't come up and try and talk to us ever. I always try and find those folks and keep my eyes moving for people who may look like they want to interact but haven't or whatever. I also had a dude tell me that he pulled me aside at the bar later in the night and he was like, dude, I just got to tell you something. He was like, man, I don't ever leave my house. I don't have any friends. He's like, I've got horrible, horrible social anxiety. And he was like, this night is the first night where I've just like chilled and talked with people and had a good time. And I can't even remember. So that was awesome to hear. But yeah, I really love meeting the folks that watch us. They're such a diverse group of weirdos and misfits, just like we are. It's akin to a family reunion. Lots of extended family, the neckbeard family tree. Oh yeah, dude. We've wanted to I've wanted to do meetups far more often since my first meetup. Which my first meetup experience was the LA meetup for DP. And that energy was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. I got to tell you, man, I had no fucking clue how popular the show I was on was until that day. I was, during the LA meetup, I wasn't even a full-time employee. In fact, I got hired the night after the LA meetup as like an actual drunken peasant. So I was just there as a guy that was on the show every Friday at that point. And the energy in that place was fucking unreal. Unreal. It was unlike anything I'd ever felt in my life. And every one of those people was like a super fan. There were probably 200 there at the first LA meetup, and I was just blown away by that. And ever since then, I've been like, we need to do this like once a month. You know what I mean? Like dead ass, once a month, we need to be traveling and doing one of these. Now, the problem with that is like making them profitable or making them, something that we can do that at least makes a little bit of money rather than losing money. Down to earth. I don't know how down to earth we are, but we had a bad meetup experience. No, not really. I mean, there were every meetup is different from every other meetup. This last one that we went to was probably the mellowest meetup we've been at. Um, if I had to give a an attribute to pretty much everybody that showed up to this, it would be chill. This was the chillest of the meetups. Not like in a downplayed or boring way, but just like everybody there just seemed really focused on kicking back, talking, having a couple of drinks, having some laughs. There wasn't a whole lot of nervous energy or anything. Wasn't a lot of people showing out. Do you have a job or do you live off your parents? Yeah, I live with my mom and my grandma, who is horribly, horribly old, and I get my money from a combination of my mom's paycheck and my grandma's, retirement and Social Security. So, yeah. Living off Grammy's SSI, yep. I definitely want to buy y'all some drinks and smell them beards. Yeah. I don't know if I'd recommend smelling any beard but mine. My beard smells like manhood. It smells like the deep primeval forest. It smells like moss on the side of an ancient redwood tree. That's worth a sniff. That's worth a sniff. Who's the most irritating kind of people that you've come across at these meetups? The only people that have ever really like full blown irritated me at meetups are people that get way too fucked up. And I'm not even talking about like puking. I'm talking about they get fucked up to the point where they're being assholes. Because there's been a couple of those people. And there's not even really one of those at every meetup. There wasn't one of those at this last meetup. But there have been a couple of meetups. There was a dude at the New Orleans meetup that got that way. There was a couple of dudes at the Toledo meetup that were a little drunker than they should have been and just showing out. You know what I mean? Those are probably the most irritating people that I've dealt with. And even that is just like, if you've ever, like for me, the bar scene is so second nature and so like, I spent so much time in my 20s and early 30s and stuff in bars and in clubs and just like in that environment that's not different from my normal experience. Before I was on DP, before I was on DFF, that person would be there, at every gathering. There's always, not always, but there's very often somebody who can't handle their liquor and makes a giant fucking show out scene, attention seeking shit. Like there was a dude at this last one who was the first time getting drunk and he got a little too tipsy and he threw up. That ain't what I'm talking about, because he was cool about it and he wasn't trying to burden nobody and he wasn't trying to be a dick about it. He just drank a little too much. This is the first time. What are you gonna do? That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that get drunk and use that as the impetus to like blah 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 blah, and they think everything they're doing is brilliant and they fuck everybody else's stuff. Thank you for not mocking or ignoring those of us who are shy. Oh yeah. No, dude. There's fucking no way, dude. I might like rib somebody at one of these meetups, but to like genuine mocking isn't even in me, dude. I'm so thankful to every last one of the people that show up to these, because they're all people that make my job possible, that make it possible for me not to live off of my mom's paycheck and Mima's SSI. You know what I mean? I can live on my own because of these people and do a job that I genuinely love to do. So yeah, there's not an ounce of mocking. I'm just thankful for these people, and it's really interesting to me to get to have FaceTime with people that actually watch me. So yeah, that's one of the things that I think might keep people away from our meetups, and it's something that I really want to correct. There might be good-natured ribbings at these meetups, but it's all in love, dude. Why am I so mean to you? That's the nature of this show, you know. Having a face-to-face conversation is different than this. It's the coolest beard you've seen at a meetup. I don't know, dude. The Oratorical's got a pretty dope beard. See, he's got like a full beard combo down here, but then he's got like the twirly mustache up here. Yeah, he had a pretty dope beard. There was another like real big dude there that had a burly ass beard, like looked like it was the same consistency as mine. You know what I mean? What do you mean? Shh! Don't shh me, Oratorical. You got a nice fucking stash, dude. The people must know. The people must know. I didn't dox him. He tweeted a bunch of shit. He tweeted pictures. Did people at the meetups talk like the chat? No. In terms of like there being a lot of just like straight up nonsense sentences that make me like feel like I lost a portion of my life reading or listening to them? No. No. That tends to be something that like face-to-face interaction filters out of most people. Yeah, we didn't take video of this. Like as far as like there's pictures and stuff floating around out there, but yeah, this one was, more of just a private event type of thing. We did Highdeologies on the way up and back. Yeah, nobody asked me to do a FOT. Not a single one. Did anyone go on airplanes for it? I don't think so. There was a there was a dude, little dude, knee high to a grasshopper. They came all the way from California on the Greyhound. California to Alabama on the Greyhound. That's a 3-day journey. That's pretty crazy. Would you ever do another meetup at the Big Chief? Hell yeah, dude. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but I would. That place was dank, and the people that owned it were very nice. Oh yeah, dude, it lowered my lifespan for sure. It knocked a year off my life probably, but it was worth that year. That year would have been shit. As I commented earlier, what would make you think that you owe the fans that come up to you depressed sympathy? They came to your meetups. You didn't come to your house. You guys aren't therapists. When did I say that I owe them sympathy? It's empathy that I give them, and I give that to everybody. Yeah, there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. I can empathize with not feeling like you fit in. I can empathize with being socially awkward. I can empathize with not really knowing how to approach a person and talk to them for the first time. I'm not trying to be their fucking therapist. I'm just trying to chill with them. I'm trying to give them like an environment and give myself an environment where we can just kick our feet up and be human beings and have fun. Dude, a Redustas meetup would be amazing. The problem with that is that place is not built for like 50 people. If it like, and there would be more than 50 people. If we announced a Redustas meeting, there would be probably over 100 people that would show to that. And that place wouldn't even hold 50, I don't think. It would be cool to have maybe we could have Redostas cater a meeting. That'd be kind of cool. Have them make a bunch of fucking po' boys and then cater. Like bring them out to like the park or something where we're all meeting. That'd be cool. You ever get fan art from the lovely plebs at your meetup? If I ever make it to one, I'm bringing some. Yeah, dude, I've gotten people have handed me stuff before. I think I've got a binder that's got a couple of pieces of fan art that people have drawn me at meetups. A Festus meetup, yeah, that would be great. We've actually talked about like doing a Festus meetup. Why are you insecure about your arms? They're just flabby. They're just flabby arms. I have the right to be insecure about whatever I want to be insecure about, buddy. No, it's just one of those things. I need to get in shape. I don't like the way I look. I really never have, but seeing yourself in pictures with other people, like a lot of the pictures people posted, they're nice. I mean, it's nice to see, but I just look like I don't even know, man. I just don't look normal. And I don't see it really like in this little box, which I look at myself in a lot. I don't see it. And in the mirror, I don't see it. But in pictures and video and stuff, like where people are just kind of candidly filming me, I see it. Just like I look like a shaggy behemoth. Just like a weird hillock of fat. And I don't like it, so, I scrutinize every little aspect of it that I don't like. Heard multiple people say that you are way thinner in person. I think they might just be flattering me, quite honestly. Like there was a lady there that was very nice, and she told me that. She said like she's like, I thought you were way, way fatter. And I was like, shut up. You're just saying that. She's like, no, no, no. And that was nice to hear, but I just don't believe her, I believe that deep down she was just being nice, which is fine. I don't begrudge her that. It'd be nice. You look like a Hasidic Jew. Cool. She wanted to smash. No, she was there with a boyfriend. That was the thing. Like, there were quite a few ladies at this, but almost every one of them was there with a dude. So, while I did see people exchanging numbers and like social media contacts and stuff, so friendships were made. I don't know if there was a love connection made at this one. I don't know. Are there any advantages to being fat? Yeah. I mean, being able to eat whatever you want and not really caring all that much about the consequence of it because you're already a big blubbergumptious mound of shit is liberating. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that those of you that are in shape and stuff, like, a lot of you probably have to, like, make those decisions wisely. You go you're with some friends and they're like, hey, let's whip through this Wendy's. You might go like, you know what, I'm probably not going to get anything here because the calories here are just off the chain. But for me, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, let's go to Wendy's. Woo! Give me fucking 5 junior bacon cheeseburgers and 2 large curly fries. You know what I mean? So that's a definite advantage. You get to drive the carts at the grocery store. Is that like a fat privilege thing? Oh yeah, because I think they assume that like it's easier for you to walk because you're like using the grocery thing like a walker. Yeah. Why did TJ look so big in the car? TJ is, what are you talking about? Like everybody that meets TJ is astonished by how tall he is. Or are you talking about fat? That's it. I don't know. Ask TJ why he looked so fat in the car. Probably because he's a fat guy. That would be my guess, but just eat the stuff in grocery. No need for shopping cart. Yeah. Yeah, he's six. TJ's not 6'7". I think he's like 6'6". He might be 6'7". 66.6. How amazing would it be to just walk into a store and eat whatever you want and walk out lamau? That would be a pretty dope, like, I don't know. I don't know if it would really be marketable. They've got a place that's kind of like that. This place that I used to go in California called Casa de Fruta, which is basically this big farmer's market in the coastal range of California, where all like the local produce farmers bring their fresh shit every day. And you're allowed to pay a little bit to go into the fruit market, and you have to buy bulk. Like if you wanted to buy a bunch of pieces, that's an extra. But what you pay for, at least at certain times of the year they have this, what you pay for is the right to go in there and use one of their little fountains to rinse off a piece of fruit and eat whatever you want. So you can just kind of walk around and grab a peach. You know, if you see a peach that looks really good, and you go rinse it, you can just eat it as you walk around. So yeah, that place is pretty dope. At least they used to do that when I was a kid. I don't know, maybe they don't anymore. I'm always worried that shit has changed because it's been a while since I've been there. Got a mosquito bite on my knuckle. You guys see that shit? Bit me right on the knuckle. Isn't that bullshit? How are you gonna get a mosquito bite on the knuckle? Like right on the knuckle bone. You'd think that that wouldn't be even a good place for them to get blood. What are your thoughts on social anxiety and how you deal with it? I recently watched a video from Boogie2988 talk about it. Was interested in your thoughts. I don't suffer from anything that I would call like clinical social anxiety. So I do have social anxieties. See that there was this like recent tweet by Keemstar that was blowing up. I think it happened while we were at the Big Chief. I remember TJ talking about it on the way up, or maybe it was the way back. He was looking at it on Twitter. Anyway, doesn't matter. And Keemstar was talking about how social anxiety doesn't exist, which flies in the face of medicinal science and all of that. Obviously, it does exist. But I think that what he is missing, or at least misattributing, is everybody has social anxieties. Everybody. Everybody experiences anxiety socially in one way or another. Everybody gets nervous when they go to meet a girl. Everybody gets a little cagey when they're in a room full of people they don't know. These are all parts of social anxiety, and I have those. Everybody feels awkward, the first time they're meeting somebody and they know they're locked into a conversation for a while. There's always that little worry. Having social anxieties is not having clinical social anxiety. The people that have actual social anxiety will lock up. And, I'm not saying that all people that have clinical social anxiety lock up, but they can. They'll lock up socially. They'll avoid social situations totally. I don't have any of that. So I can't really comment on what it's like having that level of anxiety. I've not seen Boogie's new teeth. I'm glad that he did get some. This chat's always about mental health and drugs. Yeah, it does seem to be a pretty heavy topics here. Does it feel like time is moving faster as you get older? Oh yeah, oh yeah, dude. They accept like, dude. You'll probably hear old men talk about this forever. As long as there's a human species, you'll hear middle-aged and old men talk about this, and women, and thems. But it's when I was a kid, summer felt like an eternity. Like I can remember pretty clearly back to my late grade school summers, and my middle school summers for sure. I have some pretty clear memories of. And I'm telling you, man, like getting to the end of the school year felt like that the school year was an eternity. And then it felt like summer was an equal eternity. Yeah, your reference points change as you get older. Absolutely. I mean, for me, there is just a sense of a dizzying acceleration in time. And I know that time isn't moving faster, but I also know that time is experienced relatively. So when was the last time you seen actual seconds pass on a stopwatch? I got freaked out a while ago because seconds seemed really shorter than they're supposed to be. I don't know. I know that time has not actually accelerated in a measurable way, but my perception of time has changed in such a way that it feels. And I think maybe that's a reflection of. I don't even know, dude. I really honestly don't know. I don't like to think about it. Yeah, I don't like to think about it. I don't like to speculate about it. Do you like Lenny Kravitz? I wonder how much it has to do with the lack of new experiences drifting through routine with nothing but muscle memory. I don't know. I mean, routine definitely has something to do with it. But I think the lack of a structure to your year is another thing. Like, in the thinking that I've done about this, one of the things that I've come up with is that my childhood, because I went to public school, so my childhood had this natural structure built into it from very young. We're talking like 5 years old. You go to kindergarten at 5, and at that early age, you have this routine established, right? Now I'm not going to sit here and credibly claim to remember a whole lot before I was 5 years old. I don't even really remember much about being 5 years old or 6. I have some scattered, very hazy memories from that age. But I can tell you that the routine was established in me that for a certain amount of the time in a year, you go to school, and then after that, you're off, and it's a big vacation. And that was really the routine of my life through kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, middle school, so seventh and eighth grade, and then high school, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, all of them based around this work hard and then party paradigm. And then your life really isn't that way anymore. When you become an adult, there's no party point. You know what I mean? You don't get to take 3 months off at the end of the year and just lounge around and eat fucking Cheetos all day and jerk off, and you know what I mean? That just isn't a thing. And so your life, the cycle of your life becomes the same, right? So instead of these two very different paradigms in your life, where one of them is, oh, I got to work, because when you're a kid, that's what school is. School is going to work, basically. It's one of the good things about school. This idea that you've got to be at a place for a certain amount of hours every day and that you can't miss. All of that is designed to prepare people for the workforce. And so you got that element of it. But if you do well and everything's good and you get through that school year, your reward is like 2.5 months or two and a quarter months or whatever summer used to be. It felt like it forever. But you got this long ass stretch of time where every day was a new adventure. Because especially at the beginning, man, the beginning of summer felt so good. Like that first day of summer when you woke up and it was like a Monday and you didn't have to go to school. Because like as a kid, you wouldn't even do the math in your head, you know. You wouldn't even be like, there are 60 days left of this, and this is day, now there are 59 after today. You just go like, there are endless fucking days. Like this is the first day of summer, and you just wake up whenever you want that day, and you just feel like this tremendous sense of liberation. You're like, what am I gonna do today? That's how my childhood was. What am I gonna do today? I'm gonna go get on my bike and ride down to my friend Josh's house and play some Nintendo for a while, and then maybe we'll fucking go to the park and smoke a joint or something. I mean, whatever it was. Just like I'm gonna get out of the house, or I'm gonna have some people over to my house, or maybe I'm just gonna lounge around the house today. I mean, all of those things happened in the summer. Every day felt like just like a celebration of leisure and like a pat on the back for a job well done in the school year coming. And then, the waning days of summer always were kind of sad, when you realize that, oh my God, this is, because usually about the last week of summer is really when you become aware as a kid that you have to go back to school. Because then mom's telling you like, oh, next Monday or this weekend, we're going to go school shopping, pick up some binders and some pencils and new pair of jeans and some shirts or something because you got a new school year. So she starts dropping that shit on you about like a week and a half out of summer. And the whole thing just kind of screeches to a halt, and the deadly realization that the endless school year and the dark, cold winter awaits. And you're just like, oh my God, man, not this again. And you just know you're not going to make it. You just know that this summer was the last one, and that this next school year is going to go on forever. And conversely, those first couple of days of school, when you realize that you're just getting started, man. Oh, man. And there's all that anxiety that comes with a new school year, too. Like, what's my teacher going to be like? So, but that's another thing about it. Think about this. Let's dig a little deeper. One of the things that made time pass more slowly as a kid was there was change in your life. Yeah, school remained somewhat the same, but your boss changed. What you were working on changed, right? So you didn't work on the exact same things in kindergarten that you did in first grade. So there was something new, there was something fresh, and you had a different teacher, right? So every year when you went back to work, right? You had a new boss, you had new classmates, you had a new environment to learn new things. So not only was your life based on this cycle of learning and fulfilling work, but it was based on this cycle of rewarding yourself for that work with leisure. And that's what I think, honestly, if I had to say what I think makes time pass slower as a child, that is it. That's it. It was like your mind was kept engaged. On some fucking level, there was a difference, there was a challenge, there was something new for your human mind to attach itself to. And so it made the time feel meaningful. It made the days feel meaningful on their own, which very few of them do now, I'll be honest with you, as an adult. I have days that stand out, I have days that feel meaningful, but it was like every day was different. Every day was new. Every day was a challenge. Every day was something I had to surmount. I haven't had that in forever. I can't even remember the last time my life was based around a 5-day-a-week paradigm of challenge and learning and new shit. It just doesn't exist for me. And that's why I think that one day bleeds into the next, bleeds into the next, and then conversely, I mean, if that's happening, you got to imagine 1 week, 1 month. I've had entire months just, and I'm just like, what? It's it's fucking November already? What? So, I mean, that's really where I'm at, you know? Routine. Routine. Does it feel like for the past decade or so, culture is continuously changing? It seems like modern culture since maybe the mid 2000s defined by. No, it's always been that way, dude. I mean, you might have just become aware of it and the two, but there's always been this constantly shifting paradigm because it's like once something becomes so cool that everybody's doing it, it's not cool anymore. And I'm not just talking about clothes or styles of music or musical artists or types of movies or the way people act or interact. I'm talking about all of that. There's a certain aesthetic to being an American. There's an Americana aesthetic, and it's constantly morphing. We're constantly reinventing ourselves. It is easier to observe now. Yes, the internet has given us a portal on the constantly shifting social landscape and how these like memes, if you want to call them that, spread from person to person. These little stylistic things, the way we talk, the value system that we have, the way we interact with one another. All these things are on the chopping block constantly. That's not new though. That's definitely not new. I think that what happens for people, maybe you'll be different, but what happens for people is that they go through their youth, right? So you go through your youth, and I followed those trends just like everybody else does because the youth are really the ones that we look to give us all of that. They know what's cool. If I'm 21, the 18-year-old knows what's cool better than I do, even though we're both considered to be young men, right? And if I'm 18, the 14-year-old probably, well, maybe mid-teens is about where it picks up. I'd say if I'm 18, the 16-year-old knows what's cooler. You know what I mean? So right around that age is when we start looking to the youth and going like, what's cool? How do we dress? What do we listen to? All of the entertainment companies, that's the coveted age range, man. That fucking 16 to 24, 18 to 24 age range, that's like solid gold, man. Nothing's cool anymore though. You're so fucking wrong, man. You're so wrong. Dude, say what you want about the music, the modern rap aesthetic is cool as fuck. It's just cool. It's neon drenched self worship at its coolest. It really is. They wear cool looking clothes. You know? They drive cool looking cars and they rap in cool looking ways. It's cool. Cool is not subjective, man. There is an objective cool. It's just a constantly morphing beast. It's not one thing. There is an objective cool. I'm sorry. And I can't point at what it is because as soon as I point at it, it becomes not cool. You see what I'm saying? It's ethereal. It's like based on observation. It's like a quantum mechanic, right? Cool behaves differently depending on who's observing it. What do you think about that shit? Not because it's subjective. That's why Drake be changing up so much. Yeah. Well, yeah, because cool be changing up so much. Yeah, and Drake then stays cool. Yeah, exactly. And then there comes a certain time where most people just can't even really maintain cool anymore. I reached my threshold of not really being able to be cool at all, like in any real meaningful way, at about 21. And that's probably really the social situation I feel like I'm most comfortable with to this day. I feel like I kind of maybe stopped evolving socially at that point, and my idea of cool kind of locked in right there, and the world moved on. The coolness continuum, where things can become so lame that it becomes cool, and things can become so cool to yeah, yeah, yeah. And then obviously the constant revisiting. Naughty Priest, you crazy fuck. Nothing cooler than money. Paul, have more of it. Thank you, Naughty Priest, you insane bastard. You insane bastard. I gotta show this guy my junk, man. Holy shit. There's some cool old. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Is cool. The cool continuum is not a straight line. The cool continuum is an unclosed circle, if that makes sense, where things can rotate from being cool to being old and dated right back around to being cool again. But there's a constant new flow of information pushing the things around in the open circle, right? So that's really the coolness continuum. A straight line, if you think about it in terms of just a straight line or one single wraparound line, you're not thinking about cool the right way. The 70s were cooler than the 80s, and the 90s were cooler than the 80s. Nah, man. See, that's once again, right now, and I'm telling you, you're seeing a lot of that change. The 80s are ascendant. Take it from a child of the 80s that the type of fashion that you're seeing right now, the type of music that you're hearing right now, it has been pushing closer and closer to disco. And we've been in the disco phase of a lot of different genres of music now for a long time. I mean, EDM alone has basically kind of become the new disco. And that was unarguably globally the most popular style of music for what, the last 10 years? So we've just lived through the new 70s. And guess what's next, guys? I'm already seeing it. You listen to these kind of modern drone pop post punk bands that are coming out, synths. You're starting to hear synths in music. You're starting to hear that fucking disco beat digitized in an 80s way. Fucking what's that shit called? Synthcore or whatever it's called. Fuck. I don't know that, like, there's so many different subgenres of electronica. Retro wave, yeah, and like there's synth wave, I think is the one I'm thinking of. It just sounds like the fucking 80s. Yeah, synth wave, yeah. Style is starting to look a lot the same. You're starting to see the punky colors in the hair, which everybody thinks is new. Everybody looks at chicks with pink hair disdainfully, like it's just some new thing that chicks are doing now. Dude, the 80s were fucking absolutely full of blue hair, pink hair, red hair, hair of different colors, stripes, and all the weird shit that they're doing with their hair now. It's all coming back, baby. It's all coming back. So yeah, I mean, I really do think that, especially here in America, that there's a very cyclical nature to, especially movies and music. I think that the more that they change, the more they stay the same, basically. I remember when Bill Hicks used to bash people for the 80s, like Rick Astley. Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, Bill Hicks was in the 80s as an old man. Not an old man, but a 30 something man, you know what I mean? Late 20s guy. He was already, he grew up in the 70s. So, He looked around at the 70s with its long hair and long beard aesthetic and its kind of post hippie, grungy kind of fucking Three Dog Night looking aesthetic. You know, he came from that. The ripped jeans, the band shirts. You know, the reefer in your pocket. And then the 80s come along, and all of a sudden, dudes are wearing makeup and teasing their hair up, looking like Cruella Deville, and wearing ruffled collars and shit. And he's going, "Wow, look at this bunch of fucking idiots." Cool had moved on, you know. The cool continuum had moved on, and it left poor Bill Hicks behind, just like it's left me behind, and probably a lot of you. Dudes still wear makeup and tight pants now. Of course, well, like I said, because the 80s are ascendant and have been for 3 or 4 or 5 years at least, maybe longer. I wish I could fucking back you up on that cool is from within shit, but it ain't true, man. It ain't true at all. Cool is objective, and cool is a continuum, and it's outside of every person, and it's something that can be grabbed by certain people and not by others. So you're basically saying cool is determined by the collective? Maybe. But it's not the entirety of the collective. Cool is determined by the young element of the collective. That's the contention that I'm making. My contention is that when it comes to what is cool, people look to the 16 to 24 age bracket. That's about the age that people know what's cool. People are in tune with what's cool. So, yeah. The hip teeny boppers, yeah. Were you ever babysat during the summers? When I was real young, probably. I mean, I know I had babysitters and stuff when I was in kindergarten and the first grade, but I was raised different, man. I was raised real different, y'all. Is my gold teeth and my baggy jeans that make me different from y'all? Listen, dog, I ain't tripping, dog. I was raised real different, y'all. Yeah. Helicopter parenting was not a thing I was exposed to. Can I say that? Helicopter parenting was not a thing in my childhood. Now, it might have been a thing that other kids had to deal with, but it was not a thing that I had to deal with. I want to find, like, the next time I go visit my mom, I'm going with a dual mission. Number one, obviously, being to visit mom, give her a hug and a kiss, and talk with her and chill with her. But number two, being to dig through mom's fucking archives and bring home some shit that I can share with you guys from my childhood. Some pictures, some videos. My mom's got a videotape of me. I'm dead ass serious. I shit you not. I am probably 6 years old. My little sister is 3. She's in my lap. I'm driving a three-wheeler, which is illegal now. Like, they don't even allow you to drive them in America anymore because they're so dangerous. It's if you've seen a quad, right? They've got 4 wheels. A three-wheeler has 2 big back wheels and 1 front wheel, like a motorcycle. She has a video of me on one of those with my little sister. I'm 6, little sister's 3, and I'm tooling around the backyard doing donuts with my little sister. I, at 8 years old, would drive my dad's Jeep. Like a Spider. It might have been a Spider. I don't remember what the brand was, but it was. You can look them up. They're not legal. They're not legal to own anymore. They're too dangerous. But my dad had an old Willys Jeep, an old World War II frame that he, redid the whole fucking thing, put a new engine in it. He was a mechanic, so he had the ability to take an old piece of shit and turn it into a Jeep. And so he had this raised Jeep, Monster Mutter tires on it. And I was 8 years old driving that thing around. We had, before my parents divorced, we lived out in the country. So we had like a whole like 3 acre plot of land that was ours, and part of that included this big hill. My dad made a like a kind of a racing track on. The bottom part of the track was normal, you know, it was just a normal curve, but the front part of the track would go up that hill and then down it. And at 8 years old, take my dad's Jeep out there with him just kind of standing by the sidelines watching me, and I'd tear ass up that hill, tear it down. I had a different kind of childhood. When in the summer, for example, I didn't have to tell my mom where I was going most of the time. I'd just go get on my bike, and I was allowed to, like, yeah, I had to be home by night, you know, like by sundown, and she had to know where I was. So if I got up at fucking 9 in the morning, got on my bike and left, she didn't give a fuck. She didn't see me all day. She didn't give a fuck. What even is helicopter parenting? It is the idea that a parent has to know where their child is every second, and literally has to be there with them to watch over them every second. Doesn't allow the child to have any autonomy in terms of what they do or where they go. That's helicopter parenting, and it's very prevalent now. In fact, it's the most prevalent style of parenting now. I don't think that I've seen somebody with young children that isn't a helicopter parent in a long time. When I was 8, I was to study all day. Hashtag Asian problems. Sorry to hear that, dude. My mom is extremely anxious and can't resist not helicoptering. I mean, my mom is very protective. And you may not think so from the stories I've just told you, but she would fucking. She's got like the whole mama bear thing. You know what I mean? She'd rip somebody's face off if they spited me. But she was just not raised that way. She was allowed a certain level of autonomy when she was a kid. She was allowed to have fun when she was a kid, even if it meant endangering herself a little bit. She was allowed to fall off her bike and skin up her knees and elbows and learn from that, you know, and so was I. You know, I ate shit on my bike. I used to come home covered in blood. Like I'd go out. I remember this one time we had this hill that it was a paved road that was kind of behind our property, and it had this sloped hill, like real decent slope. You could tear ass down it as a kid, but it was an old country road, so it was kind of not the greatest road. And me and my friend John would just endlessly ride around the block just to get to that hill and just. And I remember one day I ate shit at the bottom of that hill and just skinned up my knees and my shins and my arms and my chest, ripped through my shirt and shit. It was like, ah. Walked home looking like a fucking zombie, dude. Walked home just bleeding all over down my legs, just like, ah. Walked in and my mom was like, oh God, come here. What'd you do? Did you fall off your bike? I was like, oh, wow, yeah. You know, bandaged me up, and I was back on the fucking bike the next day, dude. Fucking cares. You don't see kids do shit like that anymore, dude. If a kid did that, they would have took you to, you'd have been in the hospital. Let's be honest. If a kid fell that bad today, they'd be taken to the hospital unnecessarily. Because all I needed was a little Bactine, a little mercurochrome that they don't even do anymore. A little mercury-based antiseptic, mercurochrome. You guys are, none of you were probably even old enough to remember mercurochrome. But that was the shit. You know, mom would wash off your scrapes. She'd put on a little mercurochrome. She'd put a Band-Aid on your shit. Out you go. Out you go. Dude, I used to stub my toes, like, because I was a country kid, so I'd run around barefoot. Like, it's weird to me that I've met people that have never stubbed a toe. Like, and when I say stub your toe, I mean, I'm not talking about, like, hitting it. I'm talking about when you're outside and you stub your toe so bad that you rip a flap of skin off the front of your toe, like your big toe usually. I've done that, I don't know, I probably did that 10 times, 20 times as a kid. And most people don't even know what that is. Like, they've never done it, you know what I mean? No, mercurochrome was like red almost in color, and it came in a little vial with Wasn't even a dropper because you couldn't squeeze it. It was just like a little glass thing that went in it because you were just supposed to dab it on. So it was like a little, glass. You'd kind of shake the mercurochrome up to get that little glass thing coated, and then you just pull it out and just barely just dab it. Yo, walking barefoot is a common way to get parasites. You sound like you had a helicopter mom, bro. I'm sorry to say it. My mom kicked me out the house at 7. Oh yeah, dude. But parents used to do that all the time. Like there would be days where I didn't want to go out, and if my parents were tired of my shit or whatever, you know, 7, 8 years old, they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here. Go get on your bike and go do something. Go, go, go. Shoo, shoo, shoo." Tracking your kids via phone. Yeah, that's so common now. Like that is a common way to keep tabs on where your kids are. You literally got a GPS device implanted in their pocket so that you can go online and see where they are every second of every day. And you know what, dude? Let me be frank with you about this shit. Let me be honest, okay? My mom's lack of helicoptering led to me doing things that I shouldn't do. Let me say that again. My mom's lack of being a helicopter parent led to me, yes, doing things I shouldn't be doing, going places I shouldn't go, smoking things I shouldn't have smoked, drinking things I shouldn't have drunk, fingering people I shouldn't have fingered. But you know what? I was allowed to make those mistakes and decide for myself which ones were mistakes and which ones weren't. I was given a certain amount of autonomy over my moral life. I was allowed to decide that it was okay to go smoke a joint. I was allowed to decide that if I was safe, it was okay to chill with my friends who were 16 and get drunk. I was allowed to decide that if I could get into Tammy's pants, I would. You see? I was a well-behaved introvert who worried too much. I was a helicopter kid. Oh, you worried too much. Well, yeah, I mean, I worry a lot too, but after playing all day, I would have burns on my feet from the hot pavement. Yeah. You get blisters. I used to get blisters from the blacktop on my feet because you'd just be running around all fucking day out there. But I had calluses. I still do. My feet are prone to callus, but when I was a kid, my feet were like leather on the bottom of them. I could walk on sharp ass rocks and shit. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. It's another thing I've done since I was a kid. You guys pop your knuckles? Man, science has been so back and forth on whether or not this is good or bad for you. But I pop, you can see, I pop every fucking joint on every finger. I love it. It's very annoying to some people, and I'll do it absent-mindedly. But I've got like a whole method, man. I get like I can pop this joint right here. I can pop this middle finger joint and this joint right here, this very end joint I pop. I don't even know. Oh yeah, I crack my neck too. That sounds like a good idea actually. I've got a whole method for popping. It's like a counter resistance method. Like I do the same thing with my fingers, but with my neck, what I'll do is I will like loosen my neck on this side and use these muscles to push against the pressure of my arm to crack my neck on this side. Does that make sense? So I'm just kind of like holding my arm in place, holding my head in place. I loosen up these muscles and I kind of use these to push. Crack, crack, crack. You bend just the tips of your fingers? Yeah. Well, only on the middle fingers, really. I can kind of do it, but the middle fingers I'm best at. So just like the tips there. Sometimes I feel like I wasted my childhood. I'm 24 now. I try and do crazy fun shit when I can, yeah. Yeah, dude, one of these days I'll just be like, yeah, guys, hold on real quick. Guys will be like, what the fuck? He killed himself. He accidentally snapped his own neck. I don't know what that sound just was, but I don't like it. It sounded like an elephant or something, which I don't think there are any around here. What you're painting on alcohol? What do you mean? What do you mean, bro? How many of the Dune books have you read? I've read the first three, and part of some of the fourth. But I've read the first three Dune books multiple times apiece. Do you still have the Vader bong? That was Ben's. So Vader actually wasn't a bong; it was a bowl, and it was a bowl of Ben's. It was like a 2 gram Darth Vader bowl. So Vader, fun piece of trivia, was actually, I think, 2 or 3 bongs over my tenure with DP. So yeah, there you go. Fun trivia. Your buddy has a Willy Wonka bowl that can fit an eighth. Damn. That's a pretty ridiculous bowl. Have to light that bowl with a blowtorch. We had a local creek in town that Malin dumped nuclear waste in. None of my parents said shit when I swam in it. Cool. Yeah, good for you, buddy. Should you move to Canada or Australia? Canada. Somebody said something about DP. DB better. DB better, DB better, DB better, DB better. Hey, Paul, don't know if you remember me from the Seattle meetup. I'm a glass blower, and I have glass pendant ideas for all you guys that I'm working on. That's cool, man. I do. Don't be offended by this. I remember your profession more than I could place your face, probably. But I do remember talking to you. And that's cool, dude. That's cool. Glass pendants. Salty, fat, and cringe. Salty, fat, and cringe. Yeah, we were hammered. Favorite Nine Inch Nails song? The Becoming. Boom, 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 boom. I beat my machine. It's a part of me. It's inside of me. I'm stuck in this dream. It's changing me. I am becoming the me that you... I love that song. God damn, I love that song. Yeah, it's got to be The Becoming. That song gets me hyped like no other song, man. That song comes on. I love the still version of it too. You can look for Becoming Still, and it's him basically with a very stripped down setup, like an acoustic version of that song. The me that you know's now made up of wires, and even when I'm right with you, I'm so far away. Good shit. Good shit. You prefer 8-inch nails? Can't take that extra inch, huh? How do you think the U.S. political landscape would if? What? I'm sorry. I'm not in the position to answer that question, my friend. Paul, you ever heard of Highly Suspect? Check out Mr. Asylum. I haven't heard of it, and I probably won't remember this. That's the sad truth of Highdeology is that I get so many recommendations that none of them ever get taken up on. Really. Once was a man named Paul who never showered at all. He had stinky pits and was covered in shit, and he lived in a bathroom stall. Okay, all right. That was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was worth a wrench. Welcome to the fucking Spectres. It's not trash. That was pretty good. What would Paul's ego Hellraiser look like? I don't know. Good. I mean, honestly, like, I've always wanted to do a Hellraiser that took place entirely in Pinhead's realm. I actually had an idea that I was running by TJ one time for a Pitch Wars that we never ended up using Hellraiser for a Pitch Wars. But and I think he might have had a similar idea of having Pinhead be the protagonist. So in a way, having Pinhead challenged by the other Cenobites and forced to confront his dark nature and decide whether or not he would remain a Cenobite or whatever. I just thought that the Cenobites were always so lightly featured that I thought a movie based around them would be interesting. So exploring that arm of it, I think, would be cool. You look like Santa. Cool. Neat. What about a horror film where people randomly transform into giant spiders? Okay. What were the Bush years like? Was it similar to the current period with Trump? Which Bush? I've lived through two. Talking about the HW period? Yeah, HW didn't have a whole. He was a very beleaguered and embattled president from the start. He's a rarity in that he only served one term. Every other president that I've had in my lifetime was a two-term president, and he really didn't have the confidence of his party. And the invasion, the Gulf invasion of Kuwait and the subsequent pushing back of the Iraqi military was politically very, very unpopular. And his economic positions were not embraced by his party, and subsequently he was not reelected. But I was young during the HW presidency, so I can't really credibly claim to remember most of it. He's Santa if he add more weight. Dude, I make a dank ass Santa. I wish it was easier for me to like share pictures and stuff with you guys, because I got pictures of myself. I played Santa. Like there was a preschool program for migrant children in my little town of Madera, and every year I would volunteer and play Santa and go visit them in their classroom for Christmas and bring them some presents and stuff like that. So I make a pretty dank ass Santa. does Star Trek suck? I don't think it does. What about Bush Jr.? It was funny. I mean, like honestly, like looking back at Bush Jr. is like it's like looking back at an old comedy act in comparison to Trump. I wouldn't say that like Bush Jr. is comparable to Trump. I mean, I guess it's comparable in terms of like how much he's made fun of, but he was actually like almost kind of endearing in retrospect with his kind of everyman way of speaking and his kind of decided proclivity to trip over his words and stuff like that. He almost like looking back on his presidency is almost looking back like fondly on the time that you spent with a crazy uncle or something, in comparison. Yeah, the aw shucks war criminal. Yeah, exactly. Whoops a daisy. Yeah, dude. My favorite Bushism was America is a place where wings take dream. That is goddamn beautiful. I don't care who you are. Let your wings take dream. Do you prefer smoking or vaping, Paul? I flip between them. I don't smoke, so I guess vaping. I'd really like to quit vaping, too. I'd really like to just be done with this stupid fucking vape shit. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. Go on Chantix? Nah. No, thank you. Think Trump will have a second term? Probably. I mean, just looking at it historically, like I said, in my lifetime, there's only been one. Well, no, that's not true. Wasn't Jimmy Carter a one-term president? Can you guys help me out on that? I'm pretty sure he was. And if that's the case, I was actually born during Carter's presidency. I won't credibly claim to remember anything about it. Okay. Yeah. So I've in my lifetime, starting in 1980, there have been two one-term presidents, and I'd have to count the rest. So we go Carter, so not counting Carter. So we'd start with Reagan, Bush, but he's not counted because he was a one-term president as well. So Reagan and then Clinton after Bush, then H.W. Bush two-term, Clinton two-term, Clinton two-term, H.W. two-term. So that's four two-term presidents. Obama two-term. Yeah, so the vast majority have been two-term presidents in my lifetime. So there's a good chance that Trump does a second term here. Especially given just the dismal nature of the Democrats and their ability to actually forward a candidate that people like. Barely winning against Hillary isn't a good indicator. That depends on your perspective, isn't it? Winning at all against Hillary is a good indicator of a second term to me. Shows me that the Democrats don't know what to throw against him. It's not that Dems don't like winning. They forgot how to do that. They forgot how to do that during the Clinton years, I think. That was the last time that Democrats really had a pair of balls between their legs that I can remember. There was still a strong union element of Democrats, which have a strong blue dog streak in them. My parents, I would probably describe as blue dog Democrats when I was growing up. Socially conservative, but liberal when it came to issues of labor and economics. You ever get nostalgia about shitty times in your life? I wouldn't call it nostalgia, but I do think a lot about my past. That's just I think a byproduct of my upbringing and probably just a byproduct of my mental makeup and how I relate to people. So, but I wouldn't say I have nostalgia for shitty times in my life. I mean, I've had times in my life where I felt like I just like could not go forward. There was no path forward for me. There was no way I'd ever get better, and I'm still here. So like if anything, those times in my life are kind of a bulwark in my mind. It's just like no matter how bad you feel in the moment, you've come through this, and you've come through that, and you've come through this, and you've come through that. What if Nancy Pelosi ran for prez? What if she did? Oh. I feel like thinking about events that cannot change all the time would drive me insane. Yeah, I don't look at them. I mean, I guess that's not true. I do spend some time fantasizing about, like, in particular, conversations. I have a very, very keen memory for conversation. And there are certain conversations from a long time ago that I can remember verbatim. And, wishing that I had said things differently, or wishing that I had been more honest, or wishing that I had taken the opportunity to take a different path with a person, all of those things. Like, I spend time thinking about the what ifs, but I think it's more to explore the incident than anything, to give myself better context on what was going on, and to try and understand why I made the decision that I did, and to empathize with that decision. Yeah, it's not about regret for me. I don't have any regrets. I really, uh, I don't know. There are some things, I guess, in my life that I regret doing, but when it comes to like things that just weigh heavily on me every day, every second of every day, I don't carry that sack of potatoes around over my shoulder. You know, there are things that I regret doing that I will probably always regret I didn't do better. I wasn't there for a person in the way I should have been, or I hurt somebody's feelings in a very callous way that I could have avoided. There are always, everybody's got that type of stuff. And for me to say I don't regret that stuff is almost sociopathic. But I don't carry that big capital R regret around with me. Does that make sense? Probably not. Sounds like rambling to me. Sounds like a ramble to me. Do you ever regret killing Pat Tillman? Shut up, you. You just gotta let it go. Sitting around hating yourself doesn't change the past. Yeah, I don't know about letting it go though either. There's a lot of let it go in our society. I mean, obviously that me just saying that has to evoke the song, right? That song that was just everywhere for fucking 10 years, and probably still almost everywhere. I don't know if I agree with let it go. You know? To a certain extent, I know what you mean. There are certain things in life you have to let go. And I'm not talking about letting it go. Maybe for me, the definition of let it go is a little too broad. I like let it be. Let it be. And I know it seems like a little, semantic argument that probably doesn't mean a whole lot. But to me, the difference between let it go and let it be, both songs, by the way, yeah. Because that time we experience time. I don't want to get too deep into the fucking, because I'll just ramble on and on. But we experience time linearly, but we are a sum total. Like, I believe, at least, we're the sum total of our experience. And to let that go implies that you are moving forward without it. without its consideration. Let it be. Let it have happened, if that makes sense. That happened. You know, let it be. Let it exist on the continuum of your lifetime and consider it. What's your catchphrase? I don't know. Do I have one? People used to say I repeated a lot of shit. I don't remember. I don't remember, like, maybe bloviate. People are always saying but I love that word. I learned that word from of all people, Rush Limbaugh, who is a bloviator himself. But yeah, I learned that word as a teenager, a very young teenager, riding around in my dad's truck with him, listening to Rush Limbaugh. He used to love accusing people of bloviating, and every once in a while saying something like, "If you'll allow me to bloviate here," you know. Bill O'Reilly also used to use the word bloviate a lot. I don't think he coined bloviate, but he definitely coined feminazi. You ain't kidding about that. Superfluous is one of your, yeah. Superfluous is good. Not definitely not a word that's in my immediate vocabulary that I'd like to work in there. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna find other ways of talking about something that's superfluous. It's just not one of those words that I feel like I have direct vocabularic access to comfortably. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Are there any words or sayings you hate, like pet peeves? Awesome, literally. No, not really. I kind of like language. I like the regional differences in language. There's a lot of repetition and colloquialism. You know what I mean? And I tend to. I'm a lover of language. And I think I learned to be a lover of language in high school when I really started studying Shakespeare. Because to understand Shakespeare is to really have to understand a type of English that seems on the face of it indistinguishable from ours, but is completely different. And once you learn some, and I'm not claiming to be some expert in ye old English Shakespearean dialect, but once you learn some of the basics and come to an understanding of it, I'm talking specifically about Shakespeare here, you develop an appreciation for language, I think, because his use of it was masterful. He used words like a master swordsman uses his rapier, you know what I mean? He was so incisive and so capable of wordplay and making inferences between two completely disparate subjects, just using the absolutely right word to evoke both of them. He was amazing. My favorite Shakespearean play, it's hard for me to pick just one. There are two that I had the pleasure of performing in that I just can't shake. So Twelfth Night and The Tempest. I played Sir Toby Belch in the entirety of Twelfth Night, and I played Caliban in The Tempest. Nerd! I love Shakespeare. The Merchant of Venice is my favorite play. It's a great one. I mean, like, any Shakespeare play is a good choice for your favorite Shakespeare play. Theater is badass. It's kind of a sadly diminishing art form, and it's really like, I don't know how to talk about shit like this because I don't believe in fate. I don't believe in destiny really all that much. I think you kind of forge that of yourself. But if I had to choose something that I feel like I was fated to do, it's theater. Because I am filled with a sense of purpose when I do it that I don't find anywhere else. Even in the job that I work now. Now I find small theatrical outlets in this job. But I'm talking about just the old staid act of being cast in a theater production. Having your first sit down read through, learning your blocking, learning your lines, learning your costume changes, learning your timings, and drilling that and drilling that and drilling that and drilling that to diamond perfection with a fucking director out there just pushing every fucking instinct that you have. And then opening night and the giant adrenaline rush of that 6 months or 3 months or however long of a prep period you had for the play worth of work, all kind of coming down to that. Can I do it? Can I do it live? Can I do it when there's a packed audience out there? And then the immense feeling of relief and accomplishment when you get through that and the audience applauds, and the immense sense of satisfaction of doing an entire run of a show now that you've gotten that opening night out of the way, hitting all of your dates and trying to push yourself into making each one of those shows better and slightly different for each one of the audience members, and then wrapping a show and shaking hands with all of the people, whether you like them or not, that you've been spending all these times with and you've worked very intimately with as actors and production people. And you shake all their hands and you have a drink with them and you celebrate and you toast your success and you move on to the next one. For me, if you wanted to ask me what heaven is, what the cycle of my life, if I could have made it anything, it would have been that. It would have been that. That would have been the cycle of my life. The anticipation of the tryout, the exuberance of the casting, the hard emotional work of digging into the mind of a character that you aren't and trying to inhabit his boots and craft a world in which the people in the audience will be willing to suspend their disbelief for a few moments and believe that it's real. The hard emotional work of doing that and the payoff and the cycle of that to me is heaven. That's where I would love to be if I could choose anything. Because I'm telling you, man, something happens to me when I'm in that environment. Something happens to me. Well, I do improv for a living, man. And improv was always a part of my theatrical training, but it wasn't like it's that to me it was a tool and not all of what I do. And now it's all of what I do. 99% of what I do is improvisational theatrics, basically. It's stuff that I learned, like this. This is an improvisational, impromptu performance of sorts. And I'm not really performing here, but you get my drift. The ability to take something and riff and make jokes in the moment, that's all improv. That's what I do on the show. We don't write for this show. The only show that we've put out that there was a significant amount of writing for was the Christmas special. We do an improvisational show, and that has served me well, but it's not exactly what I'm talking about. Not exactly what I'm talking about. You sound more passionate about theater than I am about anything in my life. Oof. Well, whatever it is, man. I'll tell you one more thing about it, and this is the hardest thing for me to talk about, and I've tried to explain it before to like my friends, and I don't know that some people seem to understand and some don't. When I'm watching theater, so it's not just being in it, when I go to a live theater performance, and I think it has a lot to do with my knowledge of what goes on behind the scenes and all the things that go into making a theater performance happen. But when I'm watching it, I get this, and you make fun of me if you want, it's as close to a religious experience as I can conceive of. I won't say it's an actual religious experience, but that's what it feels like. It feels like what Christians talk about when the Holy Ghost comes over them or whatever. You get my drift? There are certain moments in these plays that are so well crafted, and I feel like in a moment or two, I have a conceptualization of everything that went into making this moment so believable and beautiful and memorable that's happening live on the stage. And I'm overcome with this. It's a physical feeling. It's a lightness in my chest and excitement in my stomach that radiates out, and it's a shiver that goes through my body, and it's a very... And I don't get it anywhere else. Nothing else in my life does it. Euphoria. Yeah, I guess you would describe it as a euphoria. The technical side of theater is so cool. Oh, yeah. I'm not as experienced on the technical side. I tended to act in most of the shows that I was a part of, but I was tech in a lot of them, especially in high school, because if you've got smaller role, you're a tech person when you're not on stage, because every hand is needed, But I used to love our tech people. My favorite time doing tech was spent in the lighting and sound booth. I really enjoyed that, the mechanical aspect of creating that environment and spotting people when they needed to be spotted and playing the sound effects when they needed to be played in concert with the lightning, you know. So I just really, really loved the ballet that went on in that room too. Paul, if you could look like anyone or anything, what would you look like? Me. I wouldn't want to get the slings and arrows of switching a body right now. As much as I hate my body and as much as it's slowly but surely betraying me as I get older, I wouldn't swap bodies with anybody, man. I know it too well. I've been in it. I know how to fucking pilot this fucking thing. And I really don't. I don't want to think about what I would be if I was like you know, more conventionally attractive, or because I wouldn't be the same person. You know, who I am is a reflection of what I am and what I've been through. And so switching bodies would be like a betrayal of all of that. I wouldn't know how to walk around in another skin. You know, I got no desire for that. What if you could upload your mind into a machine body instead? Well, that's different. See, a machine, because I'm a transhumanist, so a machine body is different. Now, I'd replace pieces of this body. I got no problem with that. But as far as me just like, I don't know, my consciousness transported into some other person's, nah, no thanks. Why are you at TJ's if you can say, uh, yeah, we're doing a show today. We pushed the Monday show back because we were all exhausted, and this upcoming show today was particularly, it's just tons of fucking reading, research, and all of it bullshit. I don't want to get in. I don't want to get into too much of it, but let's just suffice it to say that after being on the road for upwards of 12 hours and 24 hours, I needed an extra day to get all the fucking proper research together to make a decent episode for you guys tonight. So we ended up pushing the Monday episode back to today. So I'm here waiting on Scotty to get here, waiting on TJ to wake up. And then we're going to do a show. What's the topic? All right, you guys aren't going to tell anybody, right? You guys won't tell anybody. If I tell you, you'll keep it. It's just going to be between me and you and 284 other people, right? Nah? Okay. Well, thanks for being honest. I'll tell everybody, never mind then. Never mind. You can wait and see the topic. You see? You see? They kept it real. They kept it real. No. Let's just say that it was one of those. I mean, never mind. I'm not even going to fucking tease it anymore. It was a tough fucking episode for me. And it was an episode that I think TJ decided that I was going to be. He usually we get to kind of choose which episodes we do, but I'll tell you on this one, TJ was like, "Paul's doing this one," and I was like, "Dude, I don't really think I'm the best guy." And he was like, "That's why you're doing it, because it's just like the antithetical topic to you, and I want to see what you do with it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Hey there, TJ. How's it going?
It's a sad day when a man can't even walk into his backyard without being disturbed by miscreants causing trouble.
Miscreant? I'm not a miscreant.
You, my good sir, are the very definition of a miscreant.
Are you like a southern gentleman when you wake up in the morning?
I don't know.
I am, sir. You, sir, are a ruffian and a miscreant. And I'd rather not deal with you no more. Hey, fucktards. We're just talking about the utter pain of... I didn't tell them what the episode was, but I was just trying to relate my utter pain and agony in researching tonight's episode.
Sure. I'm going to be going through probably pretty fucking similar
Well, I will tell you this.
shit.
As I researched my topic, I found 4 topics about your topic.
I know. So imagine how many fucking subtopic.
No, I know.
It's like, you know.
So I had my own hell of digging through the dregs of it's just all bullshit. It's 110% bullshit from start to finish.
Right.
And discerning which bullshit is the credible bullshit was my job over the last 2 days.
And you have to fucking, I mean, there's so many different subcategories. You have to decide which ones.
Yeah, which ones to do and which ones to put by the ways. Yeah, because if I tried to cover all of it, it would just be like, and there's this, and there's this, you know? So you gotta get meaty where there's meat, and you gotta, it was a fucking nightmare, TJ, but I got it.
Sometimes it's like certain episodes are like building something out of constituent pieces, and sometimes it's like trying to like look at a boulder and sculpt it down into something that makes sense.
Even the fucking shit, like, think about this. I would search for my topic. I'd find an article or something written about my topic. 80% of that article would be about your topic. There's so little, it's so vague in every fucking society.
Yeah.
It's not totally vague. There are some that are oddly specific that I didn't know about. But only in certain areas, like weirdly mathematically specific, but not specific in any other. Whatever. You'll get what I'm saying.
I'll guess I'll see.
It's fucking insane, man.
But yeah, I'm sure.
We live in a society, TJ. That's what I'm saying.
A society. God, sir, you live now in a society.
Joker quotes. You ever wonder how flammable a jellyfish is? I'm assuming not very flammable, considering they're 99.9% water, as far as I understand.
Yeah, they're pretty water.
It's about who built the pyramids. What? No, it isn't.
Yes, you got it, man.
You got it, man.
Nailed it.
Vampires, yeah. No, I would have had fun doing that. If I pull that one, I'll probably have fun doing it. I mean, it's not like I didn't have fun. It was just one of those torturous episodes that I
know exactly.
When I started doing the work for it, I was like, I'm literally going to have to read a novel worth of bullshit to get this episode done. At least. Like a good, small, weekend-length novel. You know what I mean? Worth of shit, at least, to get this fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
TJ, do you ever regret quitting IHOP?
Yeah, totally, every day.
Every day of his life, man. He wishes he was still an IHOP waiter.
The path untaken and shit.
Yeah. I mean, who knew, TJ? You might have worked your way up through the kitchen, become kitchen manager, then gotten seen by a fucking spry district manager and been elevated above that.
CEO of IHOP right now.
You might own fucking IHOP right now. You might be Mr. IHOP.
Yeah. Or
like maybe your segments would be done up like buttery pancakes, and you'd pull them up, you know, you'd be like, "Come to IHOP," you know.
People be like, "Wow, must obey segments."
Yeah. You never know, dude.
Yeah.
You never know. TJ's new Triggered is really a fine piece of art. Wow. Look at you, TJ. You're turning out fine art now and shit.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You're a fine artist now?
I guess so. If that guy said it, it must be true.
Well, TJ can draw. That's fine art. TJ can draw.
Super fine.
TJ does interesting portraiture.
Portraiture.
He did a drawing of everybody that was in the house at the New Mexico meetup. And I don't know what happened to those fucking drawings, TJ.
I think I have them right here.
You do?
Except for, I think I gave one of them to the person, but I think I kept the rest.
Okay.
And I think
those were cool.
I think they're in some kind of folder or something somewhere. But I don't know for sure. I'm pretty sure I have them, though, somewhere in this house.
Acknowledge me, Pole.
Yeah, I did like a 10-minute crayon drawing of everybody. Although I'm more comfortable just saying crayon.
Crown.
Yeah, some people say crown. That's weird. I don't even. Well, whatever. I guess I have no room to talk.
Crayons, crowns, and crayons.
Crayon.
So there's like 4. There's crowns, I've heard. Mm-hmm. Crayons, crayons, and crayons.
Isn't that?
At least.
Okay.
Those are the ones I've heard.
Let's see.
I said crayons as a kid. I knew people that said crayons. Crayons. There's a subtle difference between crayons and crayons. People give you a lot of shit for your. I think you've got a lot of Midwest pronunciation somehow woven into your speech.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know what it is. Do you have a? Was one of your parents a Midwesterner?
No. Dad was from Bogalusa.
Yeah.
And
I know that. Where's your
raised
mom
in
from?
New Orleans, and Mom was from Oregon
Yeah.
and California. So.
What about stepmoms?
I don't know. No idea.
Yeah.
Now Steve was from Michigan originally.
Okay, so I have a like a step granddad or whatever who lives in Michigan and is from Michigan, and there is a particular speech pattern about that.
The Michigan speech pattern.
A Michigani speech pattern, that kind of New Englander weird accent. But I don't know. I just think it's a regional thing. Probably a lot of people around here say things the same way that you do. Probably say crayons and rum and.
I think the rum thing is southern. I don't know. The crayon thing, when I looked it up, it didn't seem like it was super region specific. It just seemed like there's like a 10% subset of people that just say crayon. And they're just kind of scattered around.
Huh.
Or 14% or something along those lines. It was around there.
TJ's rum is messy and smells. You don't know that, dude.
TJ's rum is messy and smells.
Utah is the only state with no accent because I'm from there. I doubt that. I'm sure there's a Utah accent.
Utah. Everything has an accent.
Utah's weird as fuck, man. That place is strange. Strange and beautiful. Utah is one of the most beautiful mountain areas I've ever fucking been in my life. They look like something out of a fantasy novel. Doesn't even look real. So, I'll tell you that about Utah. All states sound almost the same, but a few words to me. Yeah. People from Ohio have an accent, yes. Utah is hell, no alcohol. There's not no alcohol, you just have to buy it from government stores at odd hours. How often do you draw, TJ?
I doodle. I very rarely anymore sit down and like seriously try to draw something. But I don't know, even when I do draw, it's very like doodly, and I don't have patience to sit there and be meticulous like some artists do. So pretty much everything I do is like quick sketches and stuff. But I don't know, they tend to turn out at least interesting looking, if not exactly the most technically proficient.
I have an oil painting of myself, and there's another one out there. I just started using Instagram, and I found my tag there, and somebody was painting like a more modern picture of me, looking like I look now, making that fucking face I make. But they were painting like an oil painting of it, and it was fucking amazing. And I want to reach out to that person and be like, hey, let me buy that, ship that shit to me. I want all these oil paintings of myself, dude. I want to really live a self-centered life. I already have my face on my wall twice. I have a giant picture of my face in the center of my house. It's not the most flattering image, but it's still my face. My is, I think it's like Foopal 2018, which I don't know what I was thinking when I picked that, but there it is. Or Paul Zigo with a Z. I don't know. I'm still learning the whole fucking stupid Instagram shit. Doesn't make sense to me yet. Thought you were self-conscious or some shit. I am self-conscious, but I'm not self-conscious to the point where it's like I feel like I should be exempt from having to look at my ugly ass face. Like I feel like I'm self-conscious to a point. Like I want to know what it is I look like. I want to see that fucking mug. I don't want to forget. I don't want to be one of these people that retreats into fantasies about what they might look like. I want to know. I want to see that shit. Yes. Mr. Naughty Priest dropped 200 bones on this stream, TJ.
Cool.
He's back. He's back in business. He's back in full swing. He didn't even ask for my dick. 200 bones. Boom. Texas is the best southern state. It's probably my favorite of the southern states that I've been to so far, if I'm honest.
Which one?
Texas.
Texas.
Texas is just, like I've said it in the last few of these that I've done because the topic keeps coming up, but Texas is just like the Republican mirror of California. When I went to Texas, I thought I was going to some alien world, and really all it was just California, but more Republican. They're so close to California in terms of like the way they lay their cities out and the regional politics and like the demographics in terms of how many fucking Hispanic people there are and the growing number of Hispanic people. Like there's just so many analogs between Texas and California. It's not even funny. And they like to think of themselves as like polar opposites on this spectrum, but they're really just like next door neighbors. They're just like buddies that have grown up around each other and have influenced each other so much that it's almost indistinguishable. You may now kiss the wide. Yeah. Today's stream title, I think, is Kissing the Bride, and it was a lyric from a Super Drag song, Who Sucked Out the Feeling, or Sucked Out, I guess. That's a great song, dude. I miss Super Drag. Super Drag. The Super Drag album, Head Trip in Every Key, is back to front brilliant. It's one of the best albums of the late 90s, early 2000s. One of the last great alt rock albums before that disappeared. Are you and TJ ever going to get hitched? Yeah, dude. What do you mean ever gonna?
We've been married since
Yeah.
day one, sir. Day one.
Opinions on the second fight? Opinions on why I haven't banned your ass, Slow Loris. I see you every one of these, and every one of these I've got the impulse to ban you, but I don't. Don't ban him, Wrenches.
Ban him.
There's something about him that I don't. But yeah, why don't you ponder that for a couple minutes? He got timed out. That's fine. I'm fine with getting him a timeout, but I don't want him banned. There's something about him that says don't ban me. I don't know what it is. But he should know that I'm on the edge.
His pretty face.
Give him the 300 seconds to think about it.
Paul's on the edge now.
I'm on my way. What was that song from the 90s? You and Ashley could not remember the name. I don't know. I don't even remember that situation, my friend. Ashley wouldn't know the name of a song in the 90s anyway. That wasn't her childhood music. It was mine. Tell me how much you think Louisiana is the best place on earth. What? But I don't, though. Hey, Paul, want some marijuana? No thanks, bro. Want a ban? How old is Ashley? She's 25. 25. Turned 25 this year. Well, no, she turns 26 this year, actually. She'll be 26 in October of this year. October. She was conscious in the 90s. Sure, she might remember some songs. She's a kid, though. You think shrooms should be legal? Yes. I think all drugs should be legal. and regulated. I'm 5 years older than you, but my boyfriend is 1 year older than Ashley. Damn. Cradle robbers. Woo! Robbing the cradle. Robbing the cradle.
Oh, Satan is beautiful. Satan is great. Satan controls your entire fate.
Yeah. There's nothing in life that's more of a hitch than spending your life with an old ass bitch. Robbing the cradle, robbing the cradle, that's the only way. Robbing the cradle, the older I get, the younger they stay. I'm just writing a song, TJ. Robbing the cradle.
Cool.
You like it?
Yeah, dude.
Sounds pretty good. It's got kind of a surf rock vibe, maybe like a little rockabilly style.
Yeah. I could
Dum
see
dum
it.
dum 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 dum.
Like a more edgy Beach Boys or something. Yeah, it was. There's like a small like smudge on the front window,
Yeah.
and Chelsea said it kept like freaking her out of the corner of her eye. She's like, it just looks like Michael Myers' brow ridge. It's just like this little smudge. And she's like, I just kept thinking it was like Michael Myers' brow ridge, and I just kept
His
seeing it
brow,
out there.
just his brow ridge
Yeah.
chilling there.
So I did this whole big musical number where I was like, Michael Myers' brow ridge. You know,
His brow ridge, dude.
no one knows where the rest of him is, but I can tell you where his brow ridge is. Michael Myers' brow ridge.
Damn.
I had like multiple verses and a chorus and all kinds of shit just spontaneously. I can't remember it now, but
Gotta love songwriting, man.
it was kind of like that. And I've been fucking with her too. Just like, I sent her like close-up pictures of Michael Myers' brow ridge and fucking all kinds of shit. She's like, I'm never gonna live it down. It's like, you'll live it down when I'm out of material. But then not really, because I'll revisit it. Like, after months have passed.
The brow ridge holds up all the dream power. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The dream power, yeah. I get it.
These always descend into nonsense at around the 117 minutes or so. There's something about that period of time of me doing these where
People are just like, you know what? Let's stop making any sense.
just becomes a fucking nonsense brigade.
That's when they all start trying to meme.
Yeah, go listen to Super Drag. Do yourself a favor. Yeah, Regretfully Yours and Head Trip in Every Key are the two albums you want to listen to. Entropy takes 117 minutes. Damn. I should report that to a scientist or something.
Dear science, I've
I've
discovered a new phenomenon.
Yep. I've found that every conversation devolves into total nonsense at around 117 minutes in length. How's your Easter? I don't celebrate Easter. So, my Easter Sunday morning is every day for all I care.
You're not an Easter worshiper, Paul?
No. An Easter worshiper. Why won't they say Christians?
Worshiper.
What is that?
They won't say Christians.
Why won't they do it?
Because they're just trying to sidestep all of Christianity.
Why though?
Because they just can't reference Christianity, dude. If they said the word Christian, then I don't know, the globalist agenda would just like
It would collapse.
crumble.
Got it. Got it. It's my favorite No Doubt song. Okay. What's the best holiday? Probably like Thanksgiving or Christmas for me. mean, those two are both pretty good. I'd say probably Thanksgiving ekes it out for me because I just like the impetus of like having a big meal and getting together. That's my favorite kind of holiday. I don't necessarily like all the gift exchanging shit that hangs over Christmas. I mean, I like doing it, but that kind of is a negative mark for me. I like the everybody brings something to a big old potluck and you just sit around and get stuffed, have a little fellowship with one another, you know. Fellowship of the fatties. Best holiday is New Year's because nobody stops you from drinking way too much. Nobody stops me from drinking way too much at any holiday. In fact, drinking way too much is pretty much like the joys of a lot of those holidays in my past, at least. I don't drink as much now, but yeah, 4th of July used to be a drunken debaucherous day for me. Thanksgiving, drunken debauchery. Christmas, drunken debauchery. Risky move around family. Not unless your whole, like my whole family was drunk, so not that risky a move when you're around a bunch of other drunks. I guess depending on your perspective and depending on the drunks. If you ever get into another drunk fight with Billy again, yeah, if he pours his piss on me again, I'll punch him right in his fucking head again. Super Bowl Sunday should be a holiday. No, it shouldn't.
Super Bowl Sunday should be a holiday.
Any chance you boys want to hire a personal chef? How rich do you think we are, dude? Let me tell you what. If we get like 1 million patrons, I'll call you. Because yes, at that point, I will be wanting a personal chef. Till then, just not really in our wheelhouse, my friend. What about interns? Well, we just hired our first like genuine, you know, show adjunct employee. We've worked with some editors and stuff, but we just hired our first addition to the technical side of the show in the form of a sound guy. So, yeah, slowly but surely the company grows, but we're not at the level now where we can hire on a bunch of fucking people. Just is what it is. You get a discount personal chef from Mexico. Yeah, that's true. Just like the idea of cooking some Canadian cuisine. Yeah, dude, make me some poutine, eh? Make me some poutine and a moose steak. Moose and goose. That's what we eat up here. Moose and goose. And poutine. July 4th is an underrated holiday. You get barbecue and fart. Yeah. I like July 4th. It's just usually like for me, July 4th was always a bittersweet holiday because it was like, yeah, it's fun, but it's also 110 degrees where I'm from on July 4th. So it's always a day where you're just like, Jesus Christ, man. If I could be outside, it would be great, but I'm just going to sit indoors in the fucking air conditioning all day. And yeah, you go outside to watch the fireworks and shit, whatever, but it's usually a pretty fucking scorching hot day. And yeah, I grew up with safe and sane fireworks is what they're called. Shitty ass California regulated fireworks.
That's gay. California, dude. Here in Louisiana, the few fireworks that are regulated, people still have, so.
Well, that's because that like you can't really fucking light a whole area on fire here. It's just a swamp. What do you gotta have to, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
California, like if they had that type of firework, the whole cities would burn to the fucking ground.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, yeah.
Burn them San Francisco faggots alive.
I was in Singapore when they had their 4th, and it's just like ours. Yeah, that's cool.
Coming soon to Instagram. The picture I just took of Paul.
Fuck you. You're taking pictures of me, dude. I do not consent.
Good.
I do not consent to my image being used on your social media, sir, and I will flag you. And you will be
I'm gonna title it "Non-Consensual Image of Paul."
banned from that fucking website situation.
Oral.
Would you visit Asia within your lifetime? Sure. Yeah, I'd go to certain parts of Asia. Like I'd probably go to South Korea and check that out, maybe. Although I've heard their draconian weed laws there might be a little too much. I'd probably go to Japan. They also have very draconian drug laws, though. That's just kind of a sad fact of their culture. I'd probably go to certain Chinese cities, you know. Yeah, I'd travel in Asia for sure. I'd go to India as well. You know, do some traveling. Wasn't
One
South
time we
Korea and
watched
China
that
this week.
fucking thing about Indian cuisine. I was like, man, I gotta go.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
I would go to India just for the
I've
food.
never once in my life watched one of these like dudes that goes to a place and eats all the food there, and not at the end of it been like, I'm in the wrong fucking job.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I should be doing.
See, those dudes, like, yeah, they've got a little niche carved out for themselves. It's pretty goddamn fun. I don't know, though, dude. Would you be able to hang with all the flying they do? Because they're in the air, like, probably 100 days a year.
I don't know, man. Some of them are just in the U.S. Some of them just do U.S. shit.
The dudes that are big are globetrotters. The dudes that actually make a real decent
I
living.
was watching a show last night. It was a dude who mostly just did U.S. shit.
Yeah.
Just went around to different towns and ate whatever specialty shit of the local area. And it was like the first one they did international, but it was just Canada. And they still had to fly there and shit, but it's just Canada. And he did like a fucking poutine tour of fucking like Montreal or whatever. And I'm looking at this shit and I'm listening to his descriptions and I'm like watching him eat it and shit. I'm just like, fuck, God damn. And he's like fucking describing the gravy. He's like, this is a more earthy, herby gravy. Goes well with the very crispy fries and the cheese curds. As you can see, have they're melting very nicely. And I'm just like, ha 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 ha.
You just die at a job like that, man.
I don't care. I die happy. So beautiful. Oh my god, some of the fucking poutine he was eating was fucking. And then like, he went to like some fancy restaurant that had like foie gras on top of it. He went to like little fast food places that had like the super fucking fast foodized version of poutine and everything fucking in between.
I tell you what, I look at and see that I'm in the wrong job when I see these fucking dumbass preachers that have jets and shit.
Yeah.
I know I could have done that, dude. I probably still could, honestly. If I carefully crafted my fucking story enough and erased all this type of evidence right here.
You wouldn't even have to. You just got to be like, I used to be a... Because they all got the used to be a sinner bullshit anyway.
No. I mean, just me openly, nakedly talking about cynically planning my
just say
future
that was something
career.
the devil made you say.
You're probably right.
So that... Because he knew you were going to turn to God and, you know, whatever.
I don't know if I could... I just think if I'd gone down
Peter
that
Popoff,
path...
we were just talking about him the other day, was nakedly revealed to be a lying, scamming piece of shit.
Yeah.
With, like, no wiggle room, dead to rights, caught scamming everybody, and still to this day has a flock and a following and all that shit. So.
Dude, I was watching this deposition of this preacher. He calls himself the Apostle. David, I can't remember what his last name is. He's a black dude.
I think we watched that on DP.
Did we?
Yeah. He was talking about his $5,000 shirts and all that.
Yeah, and how he has to shop at Gucci because he sweats through his clothes.
Yeah,
and when he's traveling, he's always sweating, and so he needs high quality.
I mean, all these fuckers make stupid arguments like that. Like,
He's got a Bentley and a Rolls Royce, and the ministry was cutting the Bentley into a custom Bentley limo. He's got a giant mansion that he calls the residential center that he lives in, but he claims is a church property for entertaining guests. And he's dumb as a stump, TJ.
I know.
I'm not even kidding. One of the most ignorant like low IQ fucking people you will ever listen to speak. And he's a multi-millionaire flying around fucking charter planes, wearing Gucci, driving Bentley limos around and living in a mansion.
All because even his dumb ass could cobble together.
Now, I'm not claiming to be some kind of fucking like genius or something, but imagine what a dude with 2 brain cells to rub together could do in a situation like that.
I mean, I don't have to imagine. We see it all over the place.
Fuck me, man.
I mean, we see what the Joel Steens and Pat Robertsons and fucking whatever else is in the world can accomplish.
Yeah. Somebody says I still think it takes talent. Oh yeah, it takes a certain amount of talent.
It just takes a certain amount. I mean, you have to have some form of charisma. Is all you really need.
But I'm just talking about like when I talk about the intelligence, I'm talking about worldliness,
And
like
zero conscience, dude.
right. But when I was talking about like just him being like stupid, I'm talking about he's just the least worldly person that you've ever met. He just gets backed into corners so easily. He's not. He doesn't have the intellect to properly know what to say when he's not doesn't know how to defend himself.
He's not clever. He's just a con man with a grift.
Right.
Who apparently has some fucking ability to really move people in a fucking church setting, talking about God and Jesus.
Worldly. When I say worldly, I mean like a person with a somewhat broad mind who knows perspectives that are outside of the little town that they were raised in. You know what I mean? That's what I mean when I say worldly.
Yeah, Christianity is really the best scam.
Oh my God, man. It must be like I could just do it, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even really have to bone up on the Bible at all. Because so little, like I could just do that sermon to sermon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because so little of most of what these, especially we're talking about like the TV ministry guys.
Yeah.
Like the prosperity gospel guys that are just, you know, that so much of what they do is out of the Bible. Or so little of what they do has anything to do with the Bible. And it's more just about the feel good shit and the calling people up and the, you know, the ebb and flow of the speech, so that it starts low and then it ends high and it gets everybody on their feet and
Toss a Bible verse in here and there.
Right.
References to Jesus and what he wants for you. You don't even need to scripturally back it up most of the time.
I mean, it would be so simple.
And you can go, you can go to any lengths you want to with it. You can claim to be in personal communication with God.
He did. This dude in his deposition talks about how he's met Jesus over 1,000 times face to face.
Yeah.
He also claims to have cured that people that he's prayed over have been cured of cancer and AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, you can just say anything.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. See, he was too stupid to properly hide the bullshit that he was doing. See, there are any number of preachers that are driving around in Bentleys. He was just stupidly embezzling funds and shit. Stupidly crossing over him as an entity versus his church as an entity. And that's what got him busted. And there's just whole groups of people. They were talking, they deposed him for like an hour about a woman that gave him $1 million. Who was then found to be completely broke and owe the IRS this huge balloon payment. And she was trying to dodge that by liquidating all her assets and giving them to a church. That was one donation of over $1 million.
Mm-hmm. But like even on the smaller scale of just like making the rounds to local churches and just having them toss money on stage or whatever the fuck the scam is.
Yeah.
Like even those guys walk away with like a couple of grand in their pocket at the end of the night.
Yeah.
So it's just like whatever. It's easy.
Yeah. It's insane. I like the tent revival guys. Like, go watch that Marjo documentary.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Tent revival, yeah.
Tent revivals, and he was like a traveling preacher, so he would go to church and
kind of the precursor to the mega church.
Yep.
Those guys had an even better gig because they literally didn't have to stick around to face
Zero accountability. They're out of town the next day.
They're there. It's a big show. Everyone wants to go see the big show because they're living in a boring ass small town. They want to see people go crazy and
Yep.
exclaim for Jesus and all this bullshit.
Yep.
And of course, there's always a part where money is collected.
They still do that revival shit. It's not a totally dead. They're still like, in fact, a lot of the big megachurch dudes have started to do these revivals, which are basically like Woodstock for Christians.
Right, and they have their giant mega church where they fucking, do their big stadium show, but then they take the act out on the road.
Yeah. And they do the big festival thing out in a field somewhere. It's like
Welcome to Christ.
Christian Burning Man or whatever the fuck,
We have Christian bands and
Christian food and Christian arts and crafts for sale, Christian paintings, Christian t-shirts, and of course you got to pay to get into it. $100 a head to get in for the 2 days.
They fucking charge out the ass for everything.
Oh yeah, water, anything that you want is going to cost you money in there.
Because that's what.
And it all goes in the pocket of the dude running it. I mean, it's all just like it's a money making factory, and the fact that it's tax exempt in this country just makes it all the more fucking like. Think about that. If we did like a big Woodstock type thing, and assuming we had that many fans and we could pull one off,
if we could pull off some kind of like DFF fest,
right?
Or whatever.
We'd probably make a bunch of money, but we'd be taxed out the ass on it.
Yep.
If you're a mega church guy, every cent of that goes in your pocket. Well, not in your pocket, in your church's pocket.
This is all for Jesus.
Isn't religion really entertainment more than anything? That's definitely a huge component. See, religion has a huge crossover with entertainment. There's a huge element of performance in religion. There's a huge element of audience participation in religion. There's just too many analogs to ignore. So there's definitely some sort of pastime element to Christianity for people. And really that plays out in every element of a Christian's life. Their social circle becomes centered around it, much like a movie buff will collect other movie buffs to be friends with, Their pastimes become centered around it, much like a movie buff will find different ways of experiencing and talking about and using movies. It's the same. It's very much the same. There's an element of entertainment to religion that can't be denied.
Entertain me.
But there's also this spirituality thing that gets tacked onto it that makes it serious business. That's what elevates it from, hey, we just go there to blow off some steam and shit.
The great thing is you can just slap Christianity as a label onto like any product, service, whatever the fuck, and make it all about Jesus. And,
right.
All of a sudden every Christian's like, I gotta use that one because I'm a Christian.
Yeah. I mean, even they're evangelizing and trying to get people to join them. I mean, using the same example of movie buffs. Dude, at that meetup, there were at least 2 dudes there. Obvious movie wonks, you know what I mean? That had an agenda. They wanted to talk about, like, the one, Peyton was all about how there was 2 of those dudes there that were all about, like, the prequels are actually pretty good, and they wanted to try and convince people of that. It was their way of evangelizing. Come over to my side. Think like me. Have my interests. It's the same shit.
The prequels.
There's a huge social connotation that's missing that exists in religion.
And lo, brothers and sisters, the prequels are not nearly as bad
Yeah.
as some have claimed.
Yeah. It's the same shit. It really is. Any fandom, any like little subgroup or hobbyist group is going to have evangelists in it. People want people to have the same interests as them. They want to be able to talk to everybody about what they're into. And that impetus is clear in Christianity and other religions with their constant recruitment efforts.
Unfortunately, those guys haven't figured out how to monetize that yet.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, some of them have.
The church of the prequels are okay.
I mean, look at Red Letter Media and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that have taken their movie buffness and turned it into like a little church environment where they're giving their sermons and people are giving their money.
Lord and Lord. Pass the collection plate, but not tax exempt, though.
Not tax exempt, no.
And you can't fill a mega church with people who share your movie opinion.
Probably not. They might be able to fill a mega church with fans to just watch them tear apart a movie or something, or what, you know what I mean? There's definitely analogs, but there's a heavy social connotation that comes with being a religious person that isn't really evident in being a movie buff or an anime buff or a music buff or an art buff or a policy wonk or any of the other pastimes that people, keep their minds busy with when they're not working.
Yeah.
There's not. I mean, I guess there's some political social implications that might have some crossover with religion, but there's really nothing comparable to "I'm religious. You cannot impugn that. My belief is sacrosanct."
My belief is pure and beautiful, and God loves it.
God is himself has stamped his approval upon it.
Bob Dylan is a hack. Okay. It's a rich hack. No movie buffs, both you with signs and megaphones. What? I'm here for my wrench. You can't have one. Do you think religion is a mental disorder? No, I don't. I think that people with mental disorders can be drawn to religion, and I think that religion might foster some of those people to get worse, but I don't think that being religious in and of itself is a mental disorder. Bob Dylan can't sing for shit, but he is a good songwriter. Okay. Do you watch secular? Why are we talking about Bob fucking Dylan? Do you watch Secular Talk? Yes, I do. Not as much as TJ, I think, but I catch a Kyle video once or twice a week. He's one of the ways I keep my finger on the pulse of, I guess, what's kind of going on in the world. Because outside of Flash Fried, I don't read the news. I don't fucking pay attention to the news anymore. I don't give a fuck. Flash Fried is my window on the world. I wish the villains from Superman 2 took over the world. I'd join their religion.
Okay.
Okay.
That guy's really mixing the movie thing and the
Yeah.
religion thing together. Hey, Scotty. Jesus, man.
Jimmy Dore left TYT. Good for him. He's not part of the soy squad anymore. Maybe he's growing out of his spitting viper phase, I don't know. But he's got to come clean about that if he ever wants a man like me to respect him at all. He's got to be like, this was the pussiest thing that I ever did in my life. I felt awful about it. I felt like a woman. Like even less manly than a woman. I felt like a spitting cobra viper. A pussy who spits on a man and scurries away. And I will never do something like that again. If he's willing to debase himself to that point, to admit he was wrong about the spitting cobra, then I will think about listening to what he has to say. But until then, I'm just not interested. He's apologetic on Joe Rogan about it. Okay, well, I'll have to look at that. Because I don't like him, man. For me, like, being spit on, that's just, number one, it's assault. So let's just be frank about it. Spitting on someone is as much assault as walking up and slapping them is. So to do something like that, which basically amounts to sucker punching somebody and then to scurry away like a bitch, man, there's really not a whole lot lower than that, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's one thing to walk up to a dude and spit on him or hit him or whatever and stand your ground and take that counter punch. Because that, at least, I don't think it's a noble thing, but it's at least a manly thing. You know what I mean? To be willing, like, I'm going to fucking punch you in the face, and if you're better than me, then I'll get my ass kicked. I guess that's the way it'll go down. But I'm going to stand, I'm going to take the consequences. But there's it's a whole different universe to just walk up like a little cobra in the grass, and to poke your head up and then slither away like a bitch. That's just unforgivable in my world. Somebody that does that, I mean, why would you listen to what they have to say about anything? I wouldn't ask that dude for directions, much less what he thinks about the political state of the world. Fuck Jimmy Dore. Till he's willing to own that do a bunch of content repudiating that kind of fucking behavior. I don't want to listen to him. There's plenty of people out there just as smart as Jimmy Dore. You know what I mean? If I'm looking for incisive, left-leaning political commentary, I got any number of fucking people I can go to that don't spit like a cobra on people. Slither away in the grass. Like a fucking belly-crawling worm, TJ. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest, we all wanted to spit on Alex Jones at some point. Maybe we all have wanted to, but only a few of us have, you know. Only a few of us have entertained that dark and womanly impulse. Spit and run.
I'm trying to think if I've ever spit on anybody.
You ever like just hawked a looch on somebody and then not stood your ground and accepted the consequences of it? I mean, not like, look, when you're kids swimming in the pool, you spit water at each other. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like you saw somebody saying something in public, you snuck up to them, spit on them, and then ran away. I don't think you've ever done something like that.
I can't think of it.
Never. You know why, TJ? Because you're not a fucking snake in the grass. Not a little weasel.
I don't think I care quite as much about it as you do. But
Why?
Because, I don't know. I just don't, I don't know. I guess
With the absolute glut of opinion out there, you don't think that you should be choosy with who you listen to? Don't you think that his ideology that allows for him like a worm
I mean,
to crawl up to another man and spit
I'll
on
tell
him
you-
and run away and avoid his consequences?
yeah, I don't really give a fuck. But I'll tell you what I do give a fuck about.
What?
I was watching, I heard some rumblings about Jimmy Dore. I'm like, I'll check it out. I went to his channel, and one of the first things I ever saw him talk about was, right when the Obama administration left, they published this report about automation and what was going to happen in the future, which obviously more and more that's happening and all this stuff. And, millions of jobs have already been replaced by automation and millions more to come.
Right.
And Jimmy Dore is looking at this report, and he's like, bullshit. Nuh-uh. Oh, they say here they're gonna replace. What, they're gonna have self-driving cars? I don't think so. No way. Oh, they're gonna deliver packages with drones? Ha! Nonsense. These people are living in a fantasy. I'm like, what? So when I saw that, I'm like, I don't take this guy seriously.
All right.
Now maybe he's come around, but the fact that he still had his finger up his ass at the end of the Obama years and still wasn't accepting the fact that automation is coming and is already here, really. I mean,
I just can't abide a cobra, dude.
so that was what really bothered me, is he was so wrong on that. And it wasn't even like there's no argument to be had. It's not a matter of like sensibilities or values or any of that stuff. You're just flat out wrong. And it was like he was not only flat out wrong, but he was being so condescending with it. Like, the people who do understand that automation is happening are the idiots, and he's the smart one. So that was when I was like, nah, I don't really care for this guy. So the spitting thing is just kind of like a side note to me for that. It's like, whatever, he spits on people and runs. That's fine. It seems like the kind of guy that would sit there and deny an obvious fact. And the other thing is, like, every time I ever try to watch any of his content, I'm just like, I don't really, like, what is the appeal here? Because there's about 10 guys saying this better than he's saying it already on YouTube. And most of them I don't even watch. So, I don't know, he just kind of strikes me as, like, bottom of the barrel for that sort of, like, liberal commentator on the internet kind of trope, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Well, I think we arrived at the same conclusion through different means.
Yeah, you made a snap judgment of like, spits on people, don't like him.
It's not a snap judgment.
Snap judgment.
There's deep consideration, and you're just not wanting to listen to it.
Okay.
You don't like. See, here's the thing about you, TJ.
I mean, I get it.
There's a gap in your philosophy, and we all have them. Yours is your dislike of explorations of genuine human psychology. Mm-hmm. You think human psychology is bullshit. You like the face value of shit. Anytime genuine human psychology is at play, you dismiss it as, it's bullshit. No, it's just like this.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. That's a gap. That's you're ignoring an incredible predictive model for human beings and their behavior.
Yeah, but I just don't. I mean, like, as far as him as a commentator,
Right.
versus him as a guy that spits and runs,
Right.
Like, if he's, I mean, like, if I found out, like, if I watched a video of like Kyle Kalinske spitting on somebody and being like, "Fuck you," blah, and runs away,
Right.
I'd be like, "Huh, Kyle's kind of a bitch."
Yeah.
I'd still think the same about his political opinions.
See, I wouldn't.
And the arguments he
See, number one,
constructs.
that would be completely out of character for Kyle because there are
Sure.
broader psychological implications to the type of person that would spit and run. That's what I'm talking about. It's not just like you
To me,
can't.
that just says, "Hey, this person
Human
has-"
actions don't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah, but it just says to me, okay, this person has an attribute of cowardice.
Right, which is bound to leak into his ideology in various ways. Which,
Sure.
to me,
You
I'm
can-
not a coward, so I don't want to listen to a fucking coward.
Right, but I don't know. I can be like, okay, they're a coward. I know that about them. So now we can proceed from there.
What use do you have for a coward's opinion on politics?
Maybe they have some smart things to say in other areas.
Like what?
I don't know.
Tinged with cowardice.
I mean, I don't think that everything a coward does is tinged with their cowardice. Like it's always a factor.
I don't know, dude. Cowardice runs deeper than actions, TJ. A coward.
Besides, there's different kinds of fucking cowardice. I think everyone's a coward when it comes.
Well, that's.
to some kind
But
of-
yeah, I agree. That certain people would say that a pacifist is a coward.
Right. So
No, I would not see cowardice to me has a very malevolent implication. A person that I would label a coward is a person like Jimmy Dore, who would do wrong to a person, isn't cowardly in that way, is cowardly in facing their implications.
Right.
Runs away from a person after slapping them. Sends somebody a bomb and then pretends it wasn't them. That's a certain kind of malevolent cowardice that I don't abide.
Right.
And a person that would do something like that and display that level of malicious cowardice is going to have that psychological principle printed over all of their life. You're going to find it.
Yeah.
And I don't have any room in my fucking intellectual life, my philosophical life, for a malignant fucking coward.
Right. But I mean, let's go over the fucking situation here too, because it's not like Jimmy Dore goes and spits on Alex Jones in a vacuum, you know.
Right,
Alex Jones shows up, disrupts this fucking show.
right,
Alex Jones is a big fucking burly dude.
sure.
He's
So's
this-
Chank, though.
Right, but Jimmy Dore is this little scrawny guy that
Right.
obviously is not going to be very good in a fight.
So he shouldn't engage a man in combat then.
I mean, you know, imagine some fucking dude comes into your show. Like,
Uh-huh.
imagine like a giant bodybuilder comes into the show. It's
Uh-huh.
like you're gonna have aggression towards them for disrupting what you're doing.
Absolutely. I got a
But-
problem with that.
I understand, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm not saying that you would take the same course of action he did because I don't think you would. But I'm saying that, you know, it's not. I think it's a little bit more forgivable in the context of like, I'm a weak guy. This guy is trying to come fuck with me. I don't have much of an alternative.
Maybe, but I mean, like, he's a grown ass man too.
He is.
So this whole "I'm a weak guy" thing, and a guy that
he
puts
probably-
himself out there as a thinker, right?
And he probably should have just.
So
walked
why didn't he
the
go?
fuck.
Why didn't he walk up to Alex Jones and use his fucking rapier wit to dismantle Jones's argument and
Probably
to make
just-
Jones look like a buffoon? Probably because he couldn't do that either.
Probably just seeing red though at the time.
See, that's another thing
'Cause, I mean,
too,
we're
dude.
talking about a situation where emotions are obviously high because you're doing a show,
Understood.
some other guy comes and disrupts the show.
Right, understood. It would be like if a dude. But here's the difference. So
But
let's
it shows.
put it in context of
I'll
this.
say that
If a
the-
dude ran in here, some
Yeah.
crazed fan or some hater of ours found out where we do the show, ran up in, fucking disrupted the show in the middle of it,
Well, you and I would beat the shit out of that person.
and Scotty too.
Yes.
The three of us would get in his face with the intent of punching him, and if he punches us back, we're willing to accept that. He's
Yes.
leaving the premises.
Because-
That's a different thing.
Yes.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
None of us would stand there and argue with the guy and then take a sip of water and spit it in his face and go hide in the closet. That would never happen.
No.
And a person that would do that, there's going to be broad implications in their fucking life.
Right.
It's going to infect every part of their
I mean,
life.
maybe you could make an argument that the cowardice or whatever you want to call it that Jimmy Dore displayed in that situation could be tied to other things like, you know, him not having the balls to actually look at what's happening with automation and just put his, you know, head in the sand and deny it or
Right.
whatever. So maybe there is a connection there or whatever, but you know, I don't know. I think that it's a bitch move, and I definitely thought less of his character seeing it because it just seemed like such a weird response to the situation. Like it was like he was trying to walk some middle ground between standing up for himself and just walking away.
Right.
Which either of those to me would have been
He wasn't even in the picture.
right.
And so it was almost
side.
like if you look at it really, there was a simultaneous desire to inject himself into the moment.
Right, but also
Jimmy Dore was also part of this, and
But
he
he
had his moment.
I don't want to get hurt though.
Right, but I don't want to risk Alex Jones putting me in a headlock or punching me in the face.
So I'll spit on him.
So I'll spit on him like a little viper in the fucking grass, and then I'll slither away into the crowd.
Yeah. And you could definitely see the machinations there. And I don't think that it's I don't really think there's any objectively right or wrong way to behave or conduct yourself, but it's not a way I would conduct myself in that situation. So
One of the things that
if I spit in your face, I'm there to then trade blows. That's like the insult that begins it. It's
Right.
not like, "Puh," you know, run away.
One of the things that, and this might be total bullshit, and I'm open to critique on this.
But I don't have much of a. I mean, like I don't have much of a spit.
It's not even the spit. It's not even the spit.
I know it's the fact that he doesn't
Right.
stand his ground afterwards.
Right. If he walked up and spit in the dude's face and was like, "What are you gonna do about it?"
Yeah, what you gonna fucking do?
That, I still
Alex
think that's
Jones?
stupid, but
Yeah.
at least I can respect it as I'm willing to
At least there's
accept the
some-
consequences
there's
of
some
my
cojones
actions.
there,
Right.
You know.
There's something to be respected there, even if it's just base brute force or whatever it is. There's
Right.
something there.
Because he had the balls to stand his ground.
I'm a pretty reserved dude when it comes to like patting myself on the back for shit. I'm pretty like self-deprecating most of the time. One of the things that I do pride myself on is I think I'm a decent judge of character. And what that means is that it doesn't take much of me watching or listening to a person in their natural environment to get a general idea of how that person is. In a broad sense. I'm not saying I can make like super predictions about their life or anything,
Right.
but I'm talking about how they deal with people. I'm a student of human interaction, is what I'm
Right.
trying to say.
And what you see there is obviously that when push comes to shove, he's gonna do something to you and then escape.
And I realize too that like even outside, let's take the spitting thing, set it aside.
Yeah.
Anything that you do in a social setting has broad implications if you know enough about psychology and you study human interaction, has broad implications for that person's life.
Mm-hmm.
So how like a person that's an extreme extrovert in public to the point of almost making an ass of themselves and not necessarily it being a welcome extroversion. You know, that person tells you a lot about themselves.
Sure.
And you can make certain broad extrapolations about that person's life. They probably have profound social problems. They don't have many friends. Likely, any friends that they do have are similarly socially awkward.
Right.
You know, all of those things are probably right.
People who don't read social cues well
And I do tend to make snap judgments about people.
Sure.
That is true. But
I don't.
yeah, I mean, like, look, it's not all people that I do, but there are certain things that a person can do that reveal so much to me, at least
Sure.
in my mind, about how they deal with other people. Because to me, when I see Jimmy Dore spit and run away,
So
I don't just see him doing that, because
Yeah.
that's one act of cowardice.
Right.
What I see is a Jimmy Dore that would fuck your mom in the
But
ass
look,
for a buffalo nickel.
The interesting thing is that, you know, the way that I think we've both kind of come to a very similar estimation of who Jimmy Dore is
Right,
through different means of assessment.
right.
So, I mean, I think that, you know, I don't think I hold quite as much of a grudges as you do, but I won't watch his content. And I've tried a few times to take a look at what he's saying, but I've never found any merit in it. And I've never found that he resonates with me as a person on like a personality level.
Right.
You know, I don't have. I mean, yeah, I have judgments about things I've seen him say, and I have judgments about the actions he took in the Alex Jones situation. But I mean, ultimately, I think we were pretty close on how we see Jimmy Dore.
Right.
So I mean, I guess that your system of assessing a person and mine, at least in this case, have reached the same basic conclusion on the guy.
Right. Because
Which
everybody
is that
everybody
kind of-
eventually makes judgments on a person.
Yeah, I mean, no one's sitting, no one reserves judgment forever, and
Right.
obviously there's things that can happen that can change your judgment and all that stuff. But in Jimmy Dore's case, I kind of see him as, a little bit mealy-mouthed and sniveling and
Self-serving.
yeah, sort of-
Desirous of the spotlight in a very, very obvious way.
Yeah, and but I mean, I've heard. I mean, like, there's times when I've heard about him taking stances and stuff that I agree with.
Sure. He's a leftist, so I mean,
Yeah,
there's
sure,
going to be common ground.
We share commonality, and I wish him the fucking best of luck or whatever the fuck. But for me personally, he ain't for me.
See, to me, like, he's indicative of a broader problem of being a leftist, and why I've drifted farther and farther away from that label, because he injects an element that I think is just murdered leftism. It's like cowardly, backroom dealing, backbiting, venomous angle with no actual fight in it. And to me, I don't accept that, man. To a certain extent, like, and to a much lesser extent, because I don't give him the broad reach that Jimmy Dore has, but Vadim Newquist is another example of a person that I put in that fucking hutch.
It wasn't as snappy with him though.
No, but I mean, like, I have a similar amount of contempt for him, especially lately. When he jumped in because I expect Dusty to do stupid shit. But Vadim, when he jumped in with Dusty, memeing about you being canceled and shit.
Right.
For me, and you being a person that I consider to be strongly leftist. You're a Bernie bro. You're for universal health care. You're for prison reform. You're
more
for
comfortable with the leftist label than you are at this point.
right. Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, for me, so what is his day being spent doing as a leftist?
Yeah.
Not attacking the bad ideas on the right, not forging a new fucking party for the left to actually rally behind, a party that fights.
I think for me,
No, he's picking at a mind that, quite frankly, and I don't mean to fluff you up, is better than his as a leftist. You know what I mean?
Well, look.
And that's what he does. That's his shtick now, is policing the left. Instead of looking at the commonalities that we all share and deciding on a way forward, he's one of the left. He's a Jimmy Dore.
I'll tell you what really pushes my buttons weird about Vadim, and it wasn't even that stuff. It was the time he told the story about the Applebee's and these slutty chicks in the Applebee's, and we all kind of made fun of it, like, it never happened.
Right.
And that wasn't it. I was fine with that. Whatever. He told a little story.
That was a great bit on that show.
Yeah, maybe it was a true story. Probably it
It was on the
a bullshit
24-hour
story,
show, and
whatever.
it was one of the bright spots on that show.
Right,
It was
and
hilarious.
We had fun with it, and it was good.
And he was great in that, too, as the straight man trying to get one over.
Then he comes back.
Yeah.
And he feels the need to defend the Applebee's story some more. And it's like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, why haven't we dropped this? But then he comes back again. And he comes back again. And it's the Applebee's story. And it's the Applebee's story. It's the Applebee's story. And it's like, there's something about him where it's like, he's personally fucking incensed
Yeah.
that he's not being believed on this Applebee's story.
Right, and he doesn't see he's incapable of taking the personal hit that it is to him and being the butt of the joke and seeing the broader positivity of the whole bit.
Right.
Of him coming in and telling this unbelievable story and us ripping on him.
But there's plenty of times on this show, and I'm sure you felt it too, where it's like, I feel like I'm being treated unfairly on what I'm saying or doing or whatever, but
it's funny.
See why it's funny, so
especially on, I mean, even our show now, but especially on DP.
Especially on DP,
pretty much everybody, other than Ben, was the butt of the joke most of the time,
And you just, you fucking recognize, like, this is funny. I understand why this is funny. Like, as much as I hate the Gurgi shit, like, I see why it's funny.
Right.
So, you fucking, to some extent, swallow that up and say, okay, this is for the sake of, like, entertainment and comedy, and that's what I am, I'm an entertainer. So, roll with it.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah.
But when I saw that Vadim's instinct were like, my ego is above that, I'm like, fuck this guy.
Oh, dude, it goes beyond him just coming back on the show.
I know.
Dude, I heard that he was, for that most of that 24-hour show, he was posted up in our Discord, in the voice chat, fielding questions and trying to defend.
The Applebee's, yeah.
It was just like, man, but that to me, I mean, that was a huge thing. Working with Vadim for the first time was a huge thing for me and getting at his personality.
When it comes to Dusty, though, Dusty is someone that, like, I just find myself liking Dusty in spite of myself.
Well, there's a
Because
certain
he's just-
brazenness to Dusty
Yeah.
that it's impossible not to like.
There's like a fucking, just like a swaggering, like, I believe this now and I'm devoted to it.
Right.
And it's going to be a different thing the next day.
Right.
So it's like he's just going wherever
Right.
the wind takes him, but with such conviction.
Right.
In the moment.
When I compared him to the Manatee, there was a certain positivity to that, in that I think Brett has a similar quality. He's so brazen in his lying and so brazen in his, the fiction that he wants to weave about what his life is, that I think that's what attracts people to him, honestly.
Yeah.
Just the utter brazenness of being a person who's defined by their contradiction.
It kind of reminds me of the George Carlin bit about why people liked Clinton, because versus like Dole, when it was like, that was the election. I think it was 96 or whatever. He's like, Dole came out there, was like, I'm an honest man, and he's like, fuck that bullshit, people don't believe that. Whereas Bill Clinton's like, I'm full of shit, and how do you like it? You know? And it's people that he's like, the American people like their bullshit right out in front of them, where they can get a good, strong whiff.
I mean, I would never work with Dusty in any other way other than collaboratively. I would never involve myself with Dusty in a friendly way or otherwise, because he's just not that. But in terms of just him as the entity that is Dusty Smith, that's out there constantly, with his finger in the air, finding out which way the wind is blowing and then charging headlong into that wind, I'm cool with that existing out there. You know what I mean? I was less incensed by Dusty's insinuation that it was time for you to be canceled than by Vadim's support of that.
Yeah, because Dusty...
I expect that type of shit from Dusty. Dusty is Mr. I need eyes on me. Mr. Drama, Mr. If there's not a fucking bunch of calamity around me, I'm not doing my job. That's always been his shtick. Vadim is trying to paint himself as this, like, thoughtful leftist guy. And he's just hitching his fucking wagon. And like, the day I call him out on it, the next day, I get proven right. You know what I mean? Dusty, just walks away from the show.
That Gotcha Boys shit with Dusty and Vadim talking to each other, I tried to watch some of it.
It was pretty awful.
I was probably watching about 10 minutes of it, but I'm just like, even when I felt like Vadim had a point, he still lost.
Yeah,
even on the stuff,
because he's bad at defending himself.
Right, even at the stuff where it's like, I really think Vadim actually has a point here about the situation, I was still finding myself siding with Dusty, just because Vadim was so bad in that interview.
Let me tell you something about Vadim, dude. He is obsessed with the minutia. Like, that was what killed every one of his fucking arguments, was that whether he was right or wrong, it took him 20 minutes to go like, and then you said, and then we did this at 2 o'clock. It's just so much detail, so much minutia, that the broader concept is lost.
And that's kind of the same with the Applebee's thing. Like, he's just micro-focused on that. Like, he can't see the forest for the fucking trees, ever.
That's his hugest drawback as, like, a performer, is his inability to know when something is good. That's such a fucking, like, base instinct that a dude that does this kind of shit has to have, man. Yeah, you've got to know, like, that your ego is always secondary here.
Vadim could have easily gone into that with a totally different take of, like, Dusty, you're fucking me over right now, because I worked for months and months putting this show together.
Right.
And your fucking ass just coast in, and when we finally get the shit together, all of a sudden your prima donna ass is just like, I'm the talent, I got to do this. And it's like he kind of tried to paint that picture, but like you said, it was so bogged down.
If he would have just used the sentence you just used, it would have been better.
It was so bogged down in stupid little details.
You told we had an agreement, and you said this, and we met in October of last year, and we said this, and you said this. And, of course, the whole time Dusty is snorting,
Dusty's sitting there painting
and
a fucking narrative, and
Right,
they're arguing
interjecting
about a
with
fucking conversation.
little barbs and quips and just breaking up his narrative because it takes so long to get out.
And plus, what was like? You got to look at the demeanor of the two too, because Vadim was like flustered, and frustrated, and agitated. And
Vadim looked like he was on the back end of like a 14-day coke binge or something and hadn't slept in 7 days.
Dusty was just the model of like self-assured. Like
He was just like kicked
all right
back.
now. I think we wasted enough time on this nonsense.
It's just
just like
there's two different
totally
levels of
dismissive and,
there's two different levels of showmanship at play there. There's somebody that actually has a sense of it and somebody that has no sense of it outside of the character that they play.
And the thing was too, it just added total credibility to Dusty describing himself as the talent, because he just totally outshone Vadim in that confrontation.
Right.
You know, Vadim is the kind of guy, I think when he can sit down and like script something out and think about it and figure out where all the pieces fit, that's where he got his shit.
He seems to need, like, the whole cat thing has always been a point of mystery with Vadim for me, because it seems, for me, I think that the whole cat is just, he seems to need like an ego separator. He needs to be, in order to be a showman, he needs to separate it from himself. He can't just be Vadim Newquist. He's got to be creationist cat, because at that point it really seems like he's able to be incisive. He's able to say the things that he wants to do. He's able to take stabs at jokes, and if they're bad, it doesn't reflect badly on him.
One thing that creationist cat can be that Vadim Newquist can't be is self-deprecating.
Right.
So he needs that. He does need that ego separator to be like, this is a character, you know.
But like, he's trying more and more to present himself as a performer. And if he can't get himself to the point where he's able to set his ego aside and start looking at his work through the eyes of his audience, because I gotta tell you guys what, dude. If I gotta strip bare ass naked and have my ass beaten with a paddle again for you guys to enjoy it, and you guys all have a fucking fun time, I'll do it. Even though it makes me fucking look like a fucking degenerate weirdo, I'll do it, because I'll take the ego hit of my big flabby pale ass being paddled to hamburger, because I'm a showman. I like to make people laugh. I like people to enjoy the shit that I watch, that I make and do.
Yeah, whereas Vadim doesn't have that.
Well, he doesn't have that unless he's behind the mask.
Right. So
Which,
whatever. But I mean, like, the thing is too. I mean, like, I just don't think he works on a live level, because he's obviously one of these people that's much better about constructing something meticulously. That's in his nature, to just put the pieces together.
Right.
In a very careful and calculated manner. And that's what Creationist Cat is, and that's what his videos on his channel are. But this whole, like, spontaneous, in the moment, doing a podcast, talking to people, shit, that's just not, it's not for him. He just doesn't really shine in that regard, so.
Whatever. Fuck Vadim.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Fuck him in the ass.
All right, this